The miracle of the rising sun. Revive and bless the sun, god of the Itar Empire, La Mierda. The huge palace was decorated with bright rays of light. There on the stage, exhausting actors play their roles. The main character has a girlfriend, the priestess Belle, who appeared after several decades. Means and methods are of no importance. In the end, the mistress also fell. A novel with a bad ending. A story in which there is no room for hopes and dreams. Again and again, a woman with bright red hair stood over the child and shouted, asking why and rereading it over and over again. Well, because the screams did not stop. The man was sitting at the dinner table with the child and asked that her pet has not been eating lately and that he hopes that he will be able to tame it and take it out. The man apologized for that. The little girl answered her father that it was not scary and that she behaved well. This is Rosianna Ebenheider, the only daughter of the Schwarlen family. The little girl asked if she could visit him today, to which she received a positive answer with a smile. The little girl came to the tall and dark tower with a small flashlight. There sat in chains a boy with red hair. His name is Kadim Gartia. He is a slave from Cantena. Rosianna asked him if Schwarlen had added anything to the food and greeted him. Rosianna added that she had told them many times that the drugs would not work. She handed him a basket of food and said that it was pure food. The girl pointed to her mouth and said that it should be eaten like this. The boy ate without chewing. The little girl asked him to take his time. Gartia incense. Marquis Schwarlen bought it at an auction to protect her. He has mixed blood from the Cantena tribe and wildlings. He is one of the main heroes of this world. The girl thought that it would be nice if she knew about it earlier. The miracle of the rising sun. Her role is a character named Rosianna. As soon as she entered the academy, her magical gift manifested itself. A witch who has achieved success and learned magic and used it. She is a puppet of the main antagonist, Schwarlen. And this is one of the biggest obstacles that hinder the heroine's happiness. Kadim becomes Rosianna's companion and accompanies her everywhere. The Canton tribe possessed great vitality and the ability to drink the blood of dragons. He is one of them. It is not easy for him to be brainwashed. The night of the full moon will soon come. Schwarlen is in search of components that will change his mind. Rosianna treated his wounds and said that the healing ointment, and even if everything heals on it like a dog, it must be endured. The same situation, it was also sold at auction. They were able to become good friends. However, she did not let him go. Although she had such an opportunity, Kadim tried to resist, as did his heart. Despite the fact that in his eyes there was only the main character, Belle. With Kadim's hands, Rosianna made her suffer and regretted it at the moment of her death. If this relationship is doomed to failure, it doesn't even make sense. The full moon will rise soon. The day the Marquis leaves, he must escape. A dark night and a huge terrifying palace. The little girl was going up the stairs. The maid met her and said that the master had gone to his rooms to rest from the experiments and ordered not to let anyone in. Rosianna replied that she would greet him in the morning then. There are no people in this estate who have memories. Schwarlen Ebenheider, a former paladin and one of the Empire's war heroes, as well as the main antagonist of this novel, is a madman. Divine power and incredible magic, like the power of light and darkness. Schwarlen, a future paladin, followed his wishes. He studied several forbidden books related to poisons, curses, and even oblivion to hide the fact that he had taken away his servants' memories. Of course, he did it with Rosianna herself, but the master was able to leave her in memory. Why does he care about her? The most terrible dark force that Schwarlen touched was terrible memories went into the child's head. The little girl entered the room, which was all in red light. A spider and a scolopendra crawled to her. Schwarlen stood in front of her and addressed her. "Rosianna, why are you awake?" he asked eerily. One of his eyes turned burgundy, and there were dark spots on his cheek. Schwarlin said, maliciously, that you can't come in here without knocking. Rosianna was filled with fear. The spirit of death, no curse, no oblivion can match him. This is a forbidden way to gain immortality. Schwarlin experimented with the undead and monsters placing souls in them. He asked the little girl if she was afraid of him. Rosianna replied that no, and that it was the usual Marquis. The Marquis laughed to himself, a lie she couldn't get away from it. The next day, Rosianna developed a fever. The little one woke up. It reminded her of her past life. After that day, Schwarlin did not try to hide his admiration from her. Animal heads, skulls, jars of eyes, etc., were scattered around his rooms. How much longer does she have to pretend that nothing happened? It's very tiring. When Schwarlin became less focused, she was easily able to get the key to the basement to do the exercises. By the way, her way of life has not changed in any way. By the evening, the monitoring has already decreased significantly. Rosianna found bright blue leaves under the sheet. She was looking for it for so long. The little girl came to the tower with a small purse and said that Kadim should run away from here. Kadim moved. Rosianna said that everything was fine and took the leaves in her hand and explained that she was adding it to her food so that the guards would not notice. These are tartar mushrooms. The reason she often goes to the basement is because she needed to get this mushroom. They grow in dark places. If it is plucked and left unattended for a couple of days, it will bloom. After eating a blue flower, you will fall asleep, mistaking a dream for reality. The use of this mushroom is revealed after the main character enters the academy. But Rosianna asked the boy if he did not trust her. Everything will be fine, you have to choose, she said. They went into the forest. Kadim touched his shackles. Rosianna said she would help him remove the collar. Why doesn't he leave? She asked. He had already tried to escape before, but all failed. The little girl handed him the bag and said that there was food and a map of the empire. When he gets out of the forest, let him go straight to the marked place. The boy did not move. The little girl asked if he would go and said that she also wanted to go, but not now. Even if he goes to that place, it will be difficult for him to return to his hometown. It will take a long time, but they will definitely meet. The girl said that when he returns home, does he promise to come back later? She held out her little finger to him. The boy was surprised and held out the answer and promised. Darkness, hunger, pain, and the smell of blood. Disgusting. Kadim thought and strained his face. Someone told him to say hello. He saw Rosianna and said that he would be her companion. It's all terrible and embarrassing. How should he address her in the future? When he saw the owner, he immediately calmed down. Compassion and purposefulness and love. And this child he can trust. Rosianna walked through the forest and thought, the Marquis always returns at dawn. Now all that remains is to buy time. The Marquis returned to the estate. The servant immediately approached him and said that he was very sorry. Rosianna stood in tears. The man said he found her unconscious near the tower. Schwarlin hit him and he fell to the floor. The Marquis took her hand and asked who had wounded her. He squeezed her so hard, it hurt. Rosianna admitted that she actually wanted to make a gift for her father, holding a small bouquet in her hands. That boy said that he knows flowers, and she opened the door, but Kadim ran away. Schwarlin replied that it was okay, and he was very sorry that she was hurt. He took the flowers from the little girl's hands. Black smoke rose from them from his touch. Rosianna looked at her hand and thought about the fact that almost all the wounds had already healed. This is not surprising because she was given very expensive and high-quality medicines, as well as holy water. She remembered how Schwarlin processed them. It's not like he cares. It looked as if he was playing with a toy. However, she is very glad that he is obsessed with her and not looking for Kadim, because the situation would have worsened. The girl came to the door, followed by the maid, who said that it was not yet time for dinner. Rosianna said she wanted to go for a walk, but she said that Marquis was still working and ordered to wait for him here. This continues for the third day. After that situation, Schwarlin forbade her to walk even inside the estate. You are not allowed to leave the door without permission. In the novel, it is written that Schwarlen will leave the estate very soon. Will she not be able to leave even then? Contrary to her fears, the Marquis put her in a cage and sometimes took her out of the house. 7 years have already passed. She turned 12 in the spring. Someone told the girl that the food was ready, and she answered that they should come to her. She set the table with exquisite dishes, and she was only thinking about going out for a walk. The maid asked if she liked today's meal. Due to the fact that she cannot go outside, her appetite has completely disappeared. Wait, Rosianna asked why she was so suddenly interested in this. The maid replied that she just wanted to know if she liked everything. Rosianna thought, usually she doesn't talk to her at all. What's wrong? If someone sees it, will immediately become clear that the oblivion has disappeared. Wait a second. That is, it can disappear. She could not understand. Suddenly, Schwarlen began to take her out for walks, more and more often, and at some point he disappeared. After a couple of months, Marquise's absence was noticed by his cousins. There were already rumors of his death. The funeral was held without a body. The girls stood over them all in black. Somehow, it's all wrong. It doesn't matter how much she degrades the knighthood. She's only going to send 2 priests. Oh, it's going to rain soon, Rosianna thought. Those present discussed the fact that she was the same child to whom the Marquise was strongly attached, but they did not look alike at all. There were rumors that he was not married but had a daughter. Does she not have a mother after all? Rosianna heard everything. I would not like to entrust the role of the head of the bastard family. The girl is known as Schwarlen's sudden and only child. In fact, not by blood, she is an orphan. The orphanage where Rosianna was is a place for the production of quality products. Once a year, their director handed over strong children to slave traders. She was sold at an auction when she was only 5 years old. It was Schwarlen who bought it. In any case, she is not going to fight, and Schwarlen is even more likely to be alive. However, the girl has already gone so far, almost without straining. If only he came. A fair-haired man with red eyes approached her and said that he felt sorry for her father, her lover. He asked her name. She bowed and introduced herself as Rosianna Ebenheider and greeted His Highness Duke Cartel Blancourt. Pan noticed that she was not at all like her father, and he was his best friend. He was lonely as a child. Greedy genes will not wait, he said. Rosianna replied that she could. The cartel asked if there was anything he could do to help. Suddenly, the girl asked to take her to his estate. This is her chance. In the original story, the Duke saved Rosianna from the cruel treatment of her cousins. It's a little shameless, but he definitely has to help her. Why? He asked coldly. What is the reason for that? Cartel asked tensely. Was it too much? She had never been put in such an awkward situation. She thought Rosianna offered him a deal, but he will do everything to make him agree. Pan arrived in a carriage to the estate. He was met by a sister named Evinia Asher, a descendant of Blancourt. She said that he had been absent for a very long time, and on the way she had received word that he had attended the funeral of the Marquis. The Duke carried Rosianne in his arms, but she denied that she could go alone. Cartel replied that she tripped when she was getting into the carriage and added that she had to go inside. A servant met them and greeted them. Cartel said that they hadn't seen each other for a long time and asked where Rachel and Joshua were now. He replied that the first went to the academy 2 weeks ago, and the second is currently training. Rachel and Joshua. This is one of the reasons why she came to the cartel estate. The girl thought about it, because the Duke's 2 children are the main characters of this work. Therefore, the Duke, her fate is to go to the world of the dead at the hands of Joshua himself. The cartel turned to the maid Tanya and said that this child would now live here, and asked to help her get settled here and her luggage in the carriage. She approached her and asked to let her see her. The little one agreed. Cartel was in his office with his sister, but she said that she did not think that he would bring the daughter of the Marquis here. He asked her to speak more quietly. What did you think, Carl? She asked tiredly and put her hand to her face. If he had left Rosianna there, they would have eaten her. Evenia said that was all she could tell her. Cartel left his 2 children to her and left the estate. The only thing, he sent money. Evnev said that he brought her here because she looks like Histana. She is sorry. The maid said that she was tired from the journey, and she needed to drink hot tea. It would help her to warm up and feel better. Rosianna smiled and thanked her for her concern. The maid replied that there was no need to thank her, and added that her name was Tanya, but she asked to contact her if she needed anything. Rosianna asked her to tell about the Duke's children. She started talking about them. Rachel is the first son who recently entered the academy. He is straightforward, but sweet, and Joshua is the second. She continued, he is very hot-tempered, so she should be careful, and he is often busy training, so he is most likely outside. Now Rosianna said that she would go now and say hello to him. Tanya denied that it was not necessary, because he does not let anyone near him. Rosianna said that it was a pity. When she was at the Marquis's manor, she was very lonely, because there were no friends of her age, and also the will to act. That is why I wanted to meet Joshua. Blancour's second son is Joshua. The boy was the same age as Rosianna and was currently training with his sword outside. The girl was sitting on a tree and watching him, but it seems he noticed her. He threw her off the tree and brought the sword to her face. "Who are you?" he asked angrily. The plan failed, she thought. The little girl introduced herself as Rosie. "A new servant?" Joshua asked, and grabbed her hair. She was in a lot of pain. He asked why she squealed like a mouse. Rosie grabbed his hair in return. "Let go. Did you want to die?" he shouted. The girl denied that the Duke brought her here, so she is no servant. "Let me go." The little girl screamed and broke free from his grip and ran to the estate. Joshua was left alone. "Father brought her?" He spoke unintelligibly. Rosianna walked and thought about what she wanted to eat. Because she was so tired yesterday, she was met by Joshua and began to say that yesterday the cartel interrupted them and asked what they were talking about. The boy smiled sweetly and wished him good morning. They sat at the dinner table. The children reached for one dish, but Joshua won. Was Rosie thinking about how to make friends with him? Following the plot, she must understand the reason for his behavior. The father said that he saw that they had already met. Cartel told his son that this was Marquis Ebenheider's daughter, Rosianna. Since he is older than her, his father ordered him to take care of her. Joshua smiled sweetly again and said he would. Before Rosianna enters the academy, she needs a mentor to teach her everything. He turned to his sister and asked her to tell about the rules of etiquette. Evenia replied that it is not difficult, one should not hurry. Cartel added that as soon as he issues the documents for guardianship, he will immediately go to the Duchy of Hamel. Evenia asked if he really found a way to cure Histana. It won't take a day or two. The job will stop, and he's going to stay there for now. Joshua lowered his head and seemed to come out of this reality. Rosianna thought the Duke was going, as the original said. Rachel returned from the academy. The Duchy of Hamel, the late Duchess of Histana, was a princess of these lands. In fact, she is alive but sealed. Cartel and Rosie's conversation at the funeral. She offered him a deal and said that she could remove the curse from the Duchess. Everyone knows that she is already dead, but in fact, her master interrupted her and said that it is better for her to remain silent. The cartel was horrified. "Who told you such nonsense?" he asked tensely. Marquis Schwarlin knew that Histana was simply sealed. The man replied that this is suspicious. Will she be able to remove the curse? Why should he trust her? Rosianna said that she watched all this from the side. The gentleman asked if she knew what it meant for a former paladin to practice black magic. As soon as they find out about it, they will deprive him of the title of Marquis, and she will be executed as his child. But she has already said that she knows how to remove curses, and the Duke knows about it. Therefore, Rosianna offers him a deal at all risk, and she will definitely find a way to cure her, if only she does not leave her here. The man was silent. Rosianna thought that wasn't enough. She has nothing more to offer, but suddenly the Duke agreed. The girl thought that if he goes to the Duchy of Hamel, then he does not trust her. Joshua said that his father was going there again and slammed his fist on the table. His hand was damaged. Rosianna ran with him and asked him to wait. His hand, she hadn't noticed it before. It didn't look like a scratch. Joshua waved it away and screamed not to be touched. He should have guessed when her father brought her in. He didn't consider her a member of the family. Aunt is always busy. If Dad goes to Hamel, she won't have anything to do. Josh, she began. But he interrupted her by shouting that if she valued life, then she should not go near him. Rosianna lay in bed and lost in her thoughts. Nasty guy, so angry today. His expression was like he was going to cry right now. Joshua Blancourt, a unique idiot, a scoundrel who has nothing aristocratic about him. Always in the shadow of his brother, he showed all his hatred towards Belle. Later, after touching the holy relic and going completely insane, he sent his father to the world of the dead. In total, 2 people went there from the hands of Joshua. One of them was his dad, Cartel, and the other one was Viscount Portman. Rosianna asked Tanya if she would attend classes with Joshua, but she answered that it is not yet known and asked if she should find out about it. Now the lessons on Confucianism are taught by Viscount Portman. The guy likes it, he loves it. The girl thought that something had happened to this Viscount. When all the flowers bloom, there will be a birthday party for the first prince and then a banquet in honor of the second. It will be a long time before she begins to influence the plot and meet the main characters. Until then, she has a lot to do. Rosianna was taking books from the shelf. The Origin of Mana, The Guide to Magic Paraphernalia, Nature Disease. It's such a shame she wasted so much time following Schwarlin. With the artifacts and magical scrolls collected by the Marquis, you can do it in a short time. Even to break the seal, one must be able to freely use magic. Now there's nothing wrong with that. Rosianna was walking around the estate and heard a conversation from the room. This is really disappointing. When will he start taking an example from Rachel? What is it about? The girl thought this was Joshua's dialogue with the teacher. The only thing Joshua can compare with Rachel is heart. That's why he can handle this problem. As a teacher, I am disappointed, he said with a smile. This is Viscount Portman, Joshua's mentor. He had curly and maroon hair and was dressed in an elegant suit. He is a child, the girl shouted inside herself. Joshua said, with a sad face, that he would try harder. The Viscount moved away from him, and suddenly a wind passed under his feet that wanted to knock him off his feet. The Viscount, who was walking with a cup of hot tea, fell and spilled it on his trousers. He immediately blushed and shouted, "What is this?" "But tell the Duke that classes are over for today." Joshua heard some sounds and approached the column behind which Rosianna was hiding. He asked what she was doing here. The girl replied that he was so unhappy with her and asked why he did not say anything to the Viscount in response. Joshua began to shout that it was none of her business and that he had already told her not to meet his eyes before he could finish. Rosianna began to fall on him with thoughts that she could no longer. "What's wrong with her? Anyone?" he shouted incomprehensibly. Joshua held her and called for help. Suddenly the girl started talking about the fact that she has been very weak lately. She will feel better if she sleeps. Don't scream. Rosianna politely asked Duke Joshua to take her to her quarters to rest. Rosianna was standing in front of the door, a ghost of herself standing over her. She disciplines for her own good. "What happened, girl?" the maid asked. "This is Joshua. She didn't want to climb. Maybe it's all because of the fact that he is not in his business. Joshua hates her. Does her opinion matter? That's not the point. She doesn't want to be hated." Rosianna chose a different path. Behind her stood a woman with a red face. They are different from each other. Rosianna woke up in bed again. Her heart sank the first time she used magic at the Marquis's residence. Didn't she? She needs to fix it fast. She had a terrible dream. The girl saw Joshua on the edge of her bed and thought he was so cute when he was sleeping, and he also helped her. She touched his head, and he started to wake up. "You," he shouted. Rosianna smiled and thanked him for his help. All the same, he did not leave her in the corridor. He also stayed next to her until she woke up. Joshua shouted that he should remember who brought her here when she asked for help. If the father finds out that she fell and he was with her, let him understand correctly. After all, he means that he will never take care of her. Rosianna smiled slyly and asked what it was. She asked to give her his hand. Joshua asked incoherently, why this to her? Rosianna took his hand and took out a blue vial with an unknown liquid. He asked what she was doing. The girl said that it was holy water and let her put her other hand. To Joshua's surprise, he obeyed like a cute boy. The guy asked if she could use magic. Rosianna confirmed this and asked, "So what?" Joshua yelled, "What do you mean, what? All living creatures are born with mana. Most don't feel the flow, let alone use. Mastering magic is a talent," he shouted. The girl thought that she was not talented at all. Rosianna asked if it was true, and she added that he is probably very interested in magic. He said that if he could do it, he could become strong like his brother. Rosianna remembered their meeting and said that he was also strong because she noticed it even then. There would be no calluses on his palms if he hadn't trained so hard. Joshua countered that anyone could do that, but only he could do it. It is always difficult to stand out from others. Rosianna said it was amazing that he worked so hard. She thinks his efforts are a great talent in themselves. Joshua was shocked by her words. "Joshua, I am so disappointed in you. Every person will be able to do the same. I will even look at it. Duke Rachel had magic at his age. You will not be able to help the master. You will only be a burden. In the end, hard work won't beat talent." These words were always repeated to him. Rosianna was sitting behind a book, and with a pen, she was lost in thought. Joshua has changed. Even if he enters the gymnasium, and if he is indecisive, he will pay attention to you. No similar features with the original. It did not become a textbook. Joshua asked why, and she snapped at him. The girl thought that he was still very rude. He had a bag of cookies on his back. He quickly said that he definitely didn't bring it to her. He added that the library is just beautifully lit, and there are a lot of books here. An ideal place for a snack. Rosianna replied that it was not her property, so let him come more often, and thought that he was very nice sometimes. The girl had a very bad headache. Joshua was sitting next to him and pointed to the page of the book and said it was like a protective magic. There was a formula. "What?" she asked again. "It's so wonderful that he knows so much about charms. It's a base. It's just stupid," he snapped. The girl thought only of patience. Rosianna asked if he wanted to be a mage and not a swordsman. The boy replied that of course his brother practices magic, and it is in no way comparable to fencing. He even compares himself with him. Rosianna touched his blonde hair. "What are you?" he spoke. "Don't sleep. Everyone's learning pace is different. This is a way to see the advantages of others," said the girl. She added that he is developing well. Rosianna just wants his personality to develop and be strong, but she added that maybe if he doesn't use mana, it would be better to become the best swordsman in the Empire by using aura. Joshua denied that he was still a child. And also, he is not a swordsman. It is ridiculous, and he does not deserve such a title. "Why funny?" the girl asked, and added that efforts are important, not victory or defeat. No one has the right to laugh at the efforts of others. Joshua suddenly shoved the cookies into her mouth. Rosianna was confused and asked why he said that these sweets were not for her. The guy covered his face with his hand, and the girl asked if he was crying. He shouted that who else is crying here? He is just a child with a tender heart who was hurt by simple words. He constantly compares himself with his older brother and thereby humiliates his personality. Rosianna asked if he would mind if she went to class with him. The boy replied that he didn't care. "However, last time I did not agree." From the very beginning, the Viscount compared him to his older brother, always scolded him. Joshua replied that it was because he was not living up to expectations. It was as if the boy had been replaced. He began to repeat the words like some kind of mantra. Only the Viscount guides me on the right path. He put his hands on his head. Rosiana was able to bring him back to reality and asked what he had just said. The Viscount greeted Joshua and asked who it was. Next to him, Rosiana introduced herself and added that she had heard Portman was a great teacher. That is why she talked to the Duke about attending classes together. Mr. agreed and began to conduct the lesson. An empire is stronger than any country. This is a blessed land, loved by God, La Mierdo. However, its existence is forgotten abroad. There are people who worship animals or mythical dragons. The Viscount asked Joshua that if they entered our lands, then if he did. Joshua put his hand to his chin and answered that if they came to the land of their empire, the price would be their lives. It is necessary to look at them from top to bottom so that the state is proud of them. The Viscount said that it was true, and he remembered his lessons well. What the is complete nonsense, the girl thought, so Joshua couldn't help but smile. The Viscount said that a good teacher would never withhold praise for a student, and gave the boy a couple of candies in his hands. The Duke thanked him. They left the class. Rosiana asked him what kind of candy it was. Joshua replied that it was a prize and asked if he wanted them too. The girl asked if it was not just sweets. He added that they are sweeter than all the fruits in the world. The girl did not stop looking at them. Joshua had already shared them with her. She put them on her table and hopes that they are still normal candies. Holy water and manna stone. A mixture of these two ingredients brings out black magic. Candies of light red color, if they start to glow, it means that they are enchanted. This magical stone is of high quality. Can't wait to see what kind of candy it is. There was a reaction, and the girl saw something there. Even drops of sweat fell from her face. Rosiana knocked on the Duke's room. He gave permission to enter and asked if she was already used to life in the estate. The girl replied that thanks to his care, she is comfortable here, and she is also looking for a way to remove the curse. Cartel replied that it was good and asked how the classes with the Viscount were going. The girl said what happens, but listens carefully to him, and also Joshua tries very hard. But Portman is not satisfied with him. After all, he always says that Joshua can't do what Rachel does, and gives him a piece of candy for correct answers. Rosiana took them out and gave them to the master. The cartel looked at them carefully and fell into shock. He asked who gave it to her. The girl left the office and thought that it was good because she noticed them in time. He fearlessly approached the Duke. If the Viscount had contacted Joshua, it would have done much more harm than good. Someone has to stand behind all this. Is the Viscount using Joshua? Evenia asked tensely, and added that if she had thought about the child first, this would never have happened. He should have paid more attention to his son. He repeats the same mistake as with Hestana. He would have to investigate to find out more details about it. These candies have a faint smell, the aroma of a plant used in a slave market that was destroyed a couple of years ago. It was the aroma of neef leaves, which grow mainly on ethnic minority lands. If you smell it or eat it for a long time, the mind will become very confused. Even adults will become devoted dogs. Instead of Rachel, who is difficult to get along with, he chose the one who has more flaws. Joshua. Anyone who can use it to bring down Blancourt will benefit greatly. Empress. The sister was shocked and said that, why Her Majesty the Empress? Doubt because he is from minorities. Her Highness wants to make the first prince an emperor, and Blancourt does not support this position. But what if they made Joshua a puppet of the court? Among the emperor's children, there are none who would stand in the way of the first prince, said the sister. Perhaps the one she thought was a cat turned out to be a lion. And yet, she can't touch young Joshua. When they found a child trafficking shelter, he even gave subsidies to temples. Enemies of the Imperial family. He created a home for children who have nowhere to go. In addition, despite the discrimination against minorities, he was always for the people of the empire. The cartel replied that it was all terrible, but let her not be influenced by emotions. Cartel added that he didn't know if the Imperial diary was being updated with new insults, but she was forgetting that they shouldn't touch the Blancourt family. Portman was riding in a carriage and thinking, his modest life finally became a little better. The medication seems to be working well. I remembered that some lady said that only he would be able to do this. Only he would have enough intelligence and courage. Wouldn't he like to get fame and a high position? If the Viscount does the job well, he will be able to live the rest of his days carefree. A report must be presented. Suddenly, the carriage stopped and the door swung open. The Duke came after him and took him away. They moved to a place similar to a prison. The Viscount was beaten. "Excuse me, I'm listening," Cartel said coldly. The Viscount tiredly tried to explain that he had misunderstood everything and remembered the conversation with the lady who had given him this task. If he does it himself. The two titular families of Blancourt and Freya. Blancourt, one of the founders, the family that overthrew the first tyrant emperor. Each of their descendants has magic from birth and is close to the afterlife. The Viscount thought that the gentleman was untouchable, even for the emperor. The same conversation with Miss the Viscount said that if he was caught, he would definitely be sent to the world of the dead. The lady countered that he didn't need to maim Joshua, so he shouldn't be afraid. In addition, the generation is weaker than its ancestors. Even if he is caught, she will not leave her child in trouble. Let him now come closer and take her precious stone. When danger comes, you only need to think about it, and it will learn about everything. It didn't even occur to the cartel that there was a rat in his estate. How stupid it was. He used magic on the Viscount. It hurt him a lot. The master ordered to say who sent him to follow him. The Viscount cried out through tears that he was doing what he was told and asked to save him. This is the end. The Empress's ring glowed, and someone turned to her and asked if something was bothering her because she turned pale. It was a young gentleman with blonde hair. She replied that, "It's okay, so don't worry, Mistress Sylvia Elasi." Two children were running and playing with each other. The servant shouted at them to watch where they were running. The blonde gentleman tensed up because of this and was on his way to calm them down. He was stopped by the Empress and called Sir Robert. The children approached the mistress, and she asked them what had happened. The boy handed her a bouquet of flowers and said that they just wanted to give Her Majesty a present because their mother said that everything they have is thanks to the Empress. The children said that the sun's rays would illuminate her path forever. The mistress smiled sweetly and thanked them. The Empress sat in the carriage with the master and said that the children were so innocent because they have pure, transparent, and natural mana. Although it is sad, what? The man asked. Sylvia said that the banquet would be held very soon and she would be busy. Joshua said that he was sorry and could not even imagine that the Viscount had specifically approached him. The cartel said they weren't going to scold him for it. Portman recently started giving him those candies. He asked his son why he tolerated his insults. Joshua lowered his head and spoke. Because he thought he couldn't handle the mana, because even his swordsmanship was no match for his older brother's little finger. He wanted to become a stronger and worthy son for his father. The cartel was shocked by what it heard. His father stroked his head and said that he was strong enough. Although he is rarely at the estate and is silent, he does not show himself well in the role of dad anyway. The Duke could not devote much time to him. "I'm sorry I didn't give you the opportunity to be a child." He said Joshua needed these words very much. He almost started to cry. Cartel hugged his son. Rosianna saw this and smiled sweetly. Joshua and Rosianna were sitting on the couch in front of the cartel. He said that from now on someone else will take care of their training. From now on he will look after them, and in case of a threat, he will be able to protect them. The boy was very happy about this, and his cheeks were covered with a blush. Cartel added that if they wanted to continue the joint classes, he could find more teachers. Joshua replied that he didn't mind and they could explain to each other what they didn't understand. He saw the girl's look and shouted that she was not looking like that. Rosianna only said that she also agreed to this. Rosianna added that she wanted to ask the Duke something. She asked if it was possible to learn magic. He asked in response whether he also knows how to use mana. Joshua wanted to say that the girl recently didn't have time to finish how he was gagged. When asked, the little one said that it was just a little, and she thought it would be nice to improve her skills. We need to get rid of our weak points. The cartel agreed to help her, but not right now, because in 10 days he had to attend the Empress's court banquet. Rosiana was in her room, opening the chest, and thinking, finally there will be a banquet. In the original, everything serious begins after entering the academy. However, before this event, there will be a meeting of the main characters, and this is the only chance to slow down the filth that thrives in the second prince. All she needs to do is prepare a gift. She took out a flask with an unknown pink liquid. Rosiana used a spell and landed on the ground, wearing a black robe with a hat and a bag hanging around her neck. She didn't think she'd be able to use the scroll here. She was scolded for hanging around the front door. Yes, she used a growth potion and became much older, but only for 3 hours. Central Square. Regarding the fountain, the east is on that side. If you follow the red masonry, you will get to the alley. At the very end of it is a blue gate, and behind it is a shelter for travelers. Restaurant. The girl was sitting at the table, and the waiter approached her and asked if she was ready to order. Poor interior and bad staff. Rosiana said, "Is the menu too mediocre? Today she wants something special, probably the tears of an elf." The waiter replied that there seems to be no menu for this matter, and asked her to wait a little. It is a place of rest for all travelers, and at the same time, a secret institution of the guild, a cache of quality goods and information. The product of the product is a difference. It is not necessary to conclude unequal agreements. This is the key to success. Give, take, hit, run. The main character here got into trouble because, "Hey girl." 2 guys approached her and asked if she was alone here and if they could keep her company. One of them took her hand and said that she was very thin and gentle. The lady looked more like an aristocrat than a witch. Rosiana told them to leave her alone. "Lady, this is not a place where you can decree." Before the bald man could finish, someone or something hit him on the head. He was indignant and asked the second whether he had hit him. Revenge on him for draining all the money? What? The second was angry. Of course, she took the artifacts with her to protect herself, and her earrings were instantly covered. They don't look very good, but they are good to use. Above the men was Rosiana's green guardian ghost. Transparent mucus teratoma. The substance has changed at the molecular level due to expired medications. Visible only to the owner of the artifact, it differs from the swamp in that the environment does not give a strong effect. The waiter came and looked at the guardian ghost. Does he see him too? He told the girl that the chef would like to see her, but I thought that the atmosphere here has changed a little. The bald man was indignant and told him that he had no right to communicate with the elders like that, and went to him with his fists, but a strange shadow appeared under his feet and he could not move. The waiter said that the owner does not like it when it is noisy. The waiter added that he must know what happens when guests make too much noise. "You heard the rumors, am I right?" he asked confidently. He called Rosiana to come with him. They began to descend to the basement. The man asked how she learned about this place. The girl answered that a friend told her about it. He added that even the emperor himself does not know the new password. Where did the information leak come from? Rosiana asked if it was in their best interest to let everyone know. The waiter objected and said that they were valued for their stealth and informativeness. The door opened. The blonde gentleman sat at the table and greeted her in the supreme shadow, and he was at her service. Rosiana asked if she would mind if she got down to business right away. The man agreed. The emperor is above them all. He is not the owner and not God, but just a client. Lie. It is not necessary to conclude unequal agreements. This is the key to success. She knows this because Li Jia is one of the main characters who helps defile the prince. Joliet Liego is the archmage of the 8th Circle and Mage Lord, the successor of Marquis Liego. This top competitor is just a hobby. An unknown lady also came to him. She came here because she needs his help, but she has nothing to offer in return. It's okay, Princess Freya, he said, and got up. He added that she underestimated him. The price a fallen princess can pay. He took her palm, raised it to his lips, and squeezed her hand with his fingers, trembling with fear and tension. She listened to the whisper of his lips in her ear. Mr. said that he had found a way to melt the heart of the cold Blancour. The prince also wants to get his hands on her. It seems that she is worth much more than she thought. Why shouldn't the princess become him? Let him give his heart. Obsessed with curiosity, she drove herself into a dead end. Mr. slyly asked why she was silent. There are two things she will need. The first is the crystals growing around the harem tree in Hamel. The gentleman asked about it and said that it would be difficult. Is it difficult for you? Rosianna asked. Li Jia replied that it is nice to hear from customers. If not crystals, then will it reach the fruit? Harem tree, located deep in the ice mine of the Duchy of Hamel. Since it absorbs the natural energy of the lands, its fruits have a large amount of natural mana. If compared to fruits, they have a purifying power. If you pick the fruit yourself, then mana will be lost, so they don't need it after all. You don't need a lot of crystals. Just what the snow mole leaves behind is enough. Li Jia said that she knows so much. He is very impressed, using gems to create 2 artifacts for protection. And it doesn't matter how they will look. This is the first request. And the second, the Empress and Viscount Portman. You need to find out if they ever met, that's all. Li Jia readily agreed and asked what the fee would be for this. Rosianna placed a pouch on his table. The gentleman asked what it was, but she answered that it is a hypnotic flower. In reaction with the defiled mana of monsters, he is able to subjugate them to the master's will. Li Jia said it was quite a valuable thing. But was that all she could offer him? Rosianna denied this and brought something else. She put a huge bag on the table for him, in which there was a large number of different jewels. The waiter behind them laughed at this picture. Rosianna asked if it was not enough that so few people knew about this flower. Li Jia walked up to her and said she was charming in her own way and kissed her hand. Their deal is done. Rosianna said that the greatest value is trust, right? Let him concentrate on her request and not sharpen his attention on her personally. The girl thought that enough time had passed since taking the potion. Mana is like a fingerprint. Jaliet is sensitive to mana. He will distinguish her from hundreds of people, even in the form of a child. But fortunately, the probability that they will meet on the street is very small. Li Jia asked if she would approach, and added that not to worry, her request would be granted. And she also needs to take it and put this gold ring on her hand. At any time and place, this ornament will help you connect with them. The waiter added that she should still come to them. The lady left. Suddenly, the double of the waiter appeared. Li Jia asked him if he would follow her. This is Juliet's servant Noah. He replied that he had everything under control. The second told the owner that they already knew everything. The doppelganger used magic, and he had a black bandage over one eye, and said that the more complicated the puzzle, the more interesting it is. Who needs easy ways? He said slyly. Rosianna turned back into a child. A little more, she said. She is so tired that when she gets home, she goes to bed right away. Cartel took her by the hand and said that it was already late, and what was she doing here anyway? The girl was very frightened by his sudden appearance. Rosianna replied that she just wanted to breathe fresh air. Sounds like it will work. Breathing means. They walked back to the estate. How awkward. The cartel decided to ask if she wanted to run away. She is so smart that it looks suspicious. The cartel added that it was impossible for the child to be able to run away and not catch the eyes of the guards, and if she was really a child, she would have eaten those candies. He firmly said that if she harmed the duchy, he would send her to the world of the dead. Rosianna explained that she could indeed appear suspicious, but she would not harm the duchy for anything. The cartel replied that he knew she was completely sincere when she promised to lift the curse and when she cared for Joshua. Thank you, he said. Cartel added that it didn't matter what secret she was keeping. He just wanted to thank her. If he didn't try, he couldn't find a way to break the spell. That's why he wanted to be next to her until his death, completely forgetting that he had other things to do. For example, his son Joshua. She had to take care of his child instead of him. However, Ia girl started, but Cartel interrupted her and said that she was Rosiana Blancourt, part of the ducal family. Moreover, as the protector and head of the family, he has and must protect it. This promise is stronger than any commandment. It cannot be broken. Absolute trust. Rosiana said that she met many adults who behaved like children. They did not admit their mistakes. They only pretended to be angry. As a result, they stepped on the same rake again and again. However, the Duke realized that he was wrong and stayed here for Joshua's sake. She added that she was glad they met then. At that moment, cloudy memories about someone appeared in her head. An unknown woman stroked the top of her head. Rosiana promised him that she would never betray him for anything. Cartel was surprised at first, but then melted into a warm look and smile. He is the only adult in this world who can be trusted. After the ball, she will tell him everything she knows, secrets of Schwarlin, and lifting the curse. 10 days have passed. There is a ball. His Highness the Duke has not appeared at such events for so long. Count Azel will be jealous. That's what other guests said. The Duke came with his family and clearly showed who was the boss here. They were all dressed in similar blue and purple outfits. By the way, what kind of little girl is this? Someone asked from the hall. The ball has started. Greetings to Her Imperial Highness and their Majesties, the first and second princes. The first is Alain Lafrance, Drago, a blond boy dressed in an elegant suit. The Empress and the Cartel exchanged cold glances. The second prince is Helaus Lafrance, Drago, golden hair and eyes. The Empress thanked all the guests for their presence, and they are very happy about their visit. She expresses imperial majesty from her face. They celebrate the first prince's birthday and the second's appointment to the monster fighting squad. Is he really that good at magic? If you add the power of royal blood to that, then he must be very strong. The first specially broke his glass. Ah, how did you all get how much you can talk? Alain shouted and specially injured his brother's hand with a broken glass and said that, what is the use of magic if he can't even heal his own injury? If he is not eaten by monsters, it will be a miracle, he shouted. Rosiana thought Alain was out of his mind. The prince is wounded, but no one is in a hurry to call a doctor, and not a word was said at all. That means, in what position Helaus is now. The Empress, with a smile on her face, said to the first prince, "Can you talk to your brother like that? Thanks to the courage of the second, the inhabitants of the empire will be able to live peacefully." She kissed the younger man on his forehead and said that good luck would be with him. Good evening, everyone. People are flattered by the first. Of course, they think it's worth it. Usually, balls are held in the small courtyard, and if it is held in the main courtyard, then it must be opened by the emperor himself, which means that today's event was approved by him. Therefore, everyone thinks that the first prince will take the throne very soon. Rosiana thought that the Duke was in the spotlight now too. If you think about it, he is already married but still young enough. And Joshua doesn't have a daughter-in-law either. Joshua asked if she was still worried. What? The girl did not understand. He didn't listen to her and ordered her to wait here. And then he goes down and gets her something tasty. Because sweets help to cope with stress. The guy has changed a lot, especially when compared to their first meeting. Belle, according to the plot, is late and Helaus. Her thoughts were interrupted by Cartel, who asked if she wanted to dance, and added that he did not like the ball in honor of the princes, but it was her first time at such an event. He extended his hand to her. Suddenly, Helaus came out. Rosiana noticed this and told the master that she was very nervous before the dance and asked if she could go outside for some air. The Cartel replied that if she doesn't feel well, then she should say so because they can go home. Rosiana thanked him for his concern and left. The sister approached the Duke and noticed that he looked upset because he did not like dancing at all. Someone approached him and said that Her Majesty wished to meet him. The Empress said the moon was beautiful today, right? The cartel coldly replied that she needed. The woman began to touch his chest. He waved her hand away. Sylvia said that even when his wife was alive, they had such a good time at the ball. Have his feelings changed? The cartel snapped that it really mattered so much to her to know the reason. "Ni Philippe, you stink," said the Duke. Sylvia said that she did not understand what he was talking about. Even the Blancourt are not allowed to behave like this with the Imperial family. The cartel warns her, for the first and last time, her actions will have consequences. The Empress laughed and said that this was a sudden warning. Had someone gone to the world of the dead? A long time has passed since the death of the Duchess, and his children are all well as far as she knows. Cartel used a spell on her that she sat down on the ground and told her to remember it well. Sylvia said that her offer still stood. Let him work for her. How long will he live looking at his dead wife? Hestana's soul. Shut up, said the Duke coldly and firmly. He left the Empress alone, and she in turn began to laugh. Rosiana looked for the second prince with her eyes. Suddenly, he appeared from behind and put his blades to her throat and coldly asked who she was. The girl was frightened and answered that she was the adopted daughter of Duke Blancourt and introduced herself to him. The prince asked why she pursued him and added that it would be better if she answered honestly. He said that there is no security here and he can easily deal with her and no one will know about it. Rosiana said she had a present for him. After all, today the ball is not only in honor of the birthday of the first prince, but also the sending of the second to military exploits. She handed him 2 golden artifacts, saying that she hoped he would like them. Halaus replied that he would rather give it to the first prince because he was trying to please the wrong person. Flatter, Rosiana asked, and said that she just wanted to give him a present. In particular, she wanted to give him an ornament with a honey-colored stone that looked like his eyes. Besides, his brother treats him so terribly that he doesn't deserve gifts. In addition, these ornaments are protective artifacts, but it is said that they also have secret powers. This ice fireplace has a cleansing power, but it differs from the holy healing power and restores health after being poisoned or cursed. Rosiana made 2 identical gifts so that Helias could give one of them to his mother. She is a nun from the church, and if it weren't for her holy power, the prince's father wouldn't even pay attention to her. Although for him the church seems like an eyesore, he still needs holy magic, since it manifests itself in stressful situations. Helios's father locked him and his mother in a tower until the power awakens. He was busy preparing in case his expectations were not fulfilled. And at that time, Helios's mother, whose body had been tripped by the imperial power and holy manna, fell ill with an unknown illness. Her health is destroyed, but the artifacts will at least slow down the process. A normal person wouldn't be able to handle 2 types of magic in their body. And since Helios was the same, no one expected him to survive, taming the holy power of the imperial family. But he survived. The prince's body is glowing. Quickly tell the emperor. His first test was to stay alive with 2 powers inside. The second will be the battlefield, where he will need to show all his abilities. Rosiana asked the prince to wait, and at the same time, tied a white bandage on his wound. "What are you doing?" he asked coldly. The girl replied that she knew he had holy power, but she thought he was in a lot of pain. Rosiana hopes his pain has subsided. If he doesn't accept her gift, all is lost. Helios must accept it. Even if his mother is still alive, it won't be for long. If she hadn't been poisoned, if she had returned earlier, would she have been able to prevent the assassination attempt? Would a nun with holy power have appeared a little earlier? Maybe Yoga Mother would not have gone to the world of the dead. The unknown lady asked why he made out with Roxion's brother. "He is not even your family, and you cry for him like this." The gentleman said, "Are these all tears of fear? Don't worry, he had no plans in his mind to send her to the other world. You and I cannot go to the other world so easily, because of the holy power. They are the perfect couple, don't you think so? If she no longer wants to lose what is valuable to her, then let her love him until the end of their days." Rosianna asked permission to bow and leave Helias, asked her to wait, and put his hand on her neck. He used magic to heal the wound he had inflicted on her. Rosianna thanked him profusely for healing her wounds. "You can go," the second prince ordered her. The prince removed the bandage from his hand, and terrible memories flooded him. "Helias!" his mother shouted and approached him. A red liquid was coming out of the boy's eye. He said that it was so disgusting. His eyes were so similar to his. Helias said with a smile that the blood of insulting his mother runs through his veins, and it makes him very angry. He thinks that it would be better if he were sent to the other world as a child. The woman said that everything is fine with her, and that he should not worry. She asks him not to injure himself again. Helias thought it was a lie. He feels more and more how the power inside him is growing. He wants to send everyone who offends them to the other world, to destroy these people. They lay together in bed, and his mother told him that his eyes were not at all like the emperor's. The color is like a shining star on her family. They have nothing to do with it. When they finally leave this tower, she wants to take him to a place where she likes almost everything. The woman hopes that in that place, his heart will be filled with warm feelings that will drive away anger and hatred. Rosianna didn't expect that he would heal her, and she too took longer than she should have. Suddenly she heard someone talking nearby and hid behind the columns. Unknown ladies began to say that Milady Freya had a special hair color, but she thanked me and said that it is also unique in Amel. The red-haired lady thanked him for the compliment, but added that she had meant that she had the color of faded grass. "Have they always been like this?" Another asked if she lived in a village shelter. "Is it true that children are forced to do field work there?" "Field work, I read about it in the book, Life of Common People." The lady spoke and continued her monologue, but Rosianna interrupted them and went up to the lady and greeted her. Rosianna said that her brother was looking for her. She inexplicably asked about it. The girl said that he would urgently look for her. She apologized to those ladies and finally added that it was time for them to go. Rosianna informed Milady that she had to lie. "What?" Freya was indignant. The girl explained that she was in a very embarrassing situation, and that is why she intervened. "I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Rosianna Blancourt," she said, and additionally apologized for her act. The lady smiled and thanked her for her help, and introduced herself as Belle Freya. Belle Freya. She was adopted from an ordinary shelter. She was destined to become a saint. She is the main character in this story, who is misunderstood and hated by everyone. Rumor, but not weak kind, and intelligent. Rosianna thought that Belle would have a happy ending after all these ordeals, but she lost her last shrine. The fire in her eyes went out, everything in her life moved, and she did not want to build something new. She made a wish, may all humanity be better. She didn't have time to explain how darkness covered her world. Obviously, the apocalypse has dawned. Rosianna can't let the main characters just go with the flow. Freya tried to bring her back to reality. After all, changes only in her storyline will not bring global changes. She needs to at least try to avoid an ending where the whole world will be destroyed. Has the brother not yet appeared? Belle said that as soon as he came, he would immediately go to the doctor. Beside Alain lay the body of a big monster in chains. Such a giant must have been difficult to catch. The second prince never showed himself. Of course, the throne should rightfully be inherited by the first prince. Alain, being pleased with himself, smiled slyly and said that it was already obvious. Rosianna was surprised by the appearance of this monster. Angry Joshua, who had many trays of sweets in his hands, approached Rosianna and asked where she had disappeared. Suddenly the monster's tail moved. The girl remembered his first meeting with Lady Freya. It was an Imperial ball. He saved the saint during the commotion. and it was then that he realized that he could protect himself and his loved ones. In the first meeting between Joshua and Belethir was a dramatic episode, but now with Freya is Rosianna, the boy shouted. The monster crushed everything around. Rosianna was wounded in the head. Belle was very worried about her, but the girl managed to put a magical barrier and said that she was glad because the lady survived. Belle said that she had a wound on her head. Rosianna replied that the two of them were a little bit stuck and asked her not to worry because now someone should come to help them. Is she not injured? Belle said that everything is fine and she is whole, but Rosianna is hurt now and needs to be worried about her. However, the girl started to say, but her heart suddenly started to hurt a lot. No, you have to hold on a little more. She thought. Belle screamed as debris began to rise. Joshua appeared behind the wreckage with a sword in his hands from which a purple glow emanated. He was very happy because he knew that they would be fine. Rosianna smiled and asked him if he had used his powers. The guy shouted, "What else is she thinking about now?" "Thank you," the girl began. But suddenly her eyes began to blur and gradually close. She saw that the cartel was using magic. What saved Rosianna finished her words. "Path with trees. What is this place?" She was definitely in the ballroom. The lady met a man and said that she was waiting for him. Rosianna thought that this woman looked a lot like Belle, but was clearly older. The girl woke up and realized that it was just a dream, but she was already in her room and lying in bed. Cartel looked very worried and spoke her name. Joshua was here too. He laid his head on the edge and slept too. The Duke patted her head and told her that she needed to rest. The Duke sat down next to him. Rosianna asked how long she'd been here. Cartel replied that she had not woken up for almost a week. How many? The girl thought this is the first time this has happened to her, even if she is dead tired. Rosianna smiled and asked the Duke if he wanted to tell her something. He only replied that he would call a doctor. The man took his son in his arms and added that they would discuss it when she was cured. And Joshua was worried all the time and hardly slept until the girl woke up. "Thank you for waking up," he said. They were sitting at the table. The girl asked the boy how she looked. Joshua did not understand and questioned him about it. Rosianna asked if she wasn't emitting energy. After all, he feels more alive than all the living. Joshua asked if she meant to say that she was completely healed. Of course, a doctor examined her a couple of times a day and said that everything was fine, and she was fed meat and vegetables 3 times a day, as well as given medicine. The doctor even allowed her to go out for a walk, although not even Belle had let her go. 2 weeks have passed since the event. Freya was very worried about her, so she lived with them for a week, looking after her. Memoirs. "Lady Rosianna," Belle screamed. They tried to calm her down because she had just woken up and needed rest. Next to her was her brother, who asked her to leave here. He looked very strangely at Rosianna. He looked very gloomy and cold. Joshua asked when she managed to make friends with Lady Freya, and he will still have time to talk to her. Rosianna denied that Milady was worried about her, and she needed to show that she was fine and okay. "But who is she anyway?" Joshua asked. Rosianna noticed that he was reacting very strangely to Belle. Could it be because she had interrupted their first meeting? Although not specifically. "She is flying in the clouds again. Father wanted to talk to her." "A little later," said the boy. Joshua pierced a strawberry with a fork and fed it to Rosianna, saying that she should eat it. The boy asked if he did not think, and again, what is the reason for the inconvenience to his father? It wasn't her fault at all, Joshua assured her. Rosianna said that he had grown up a lot. Joshua resented that he had always been like this, and it seems that she forgot that she is younger than him, and now he accidentally revealed his abilities, but still, "Thank you, brother." Rosianna spoke sweetly. Joshua questioned Rosianna, repeated, "Yes, brother." The boy melted in a warm look. Blushes appeared on his cheeks. "Oh, well, I'll tell you. He didn't say anything. He really is like a fluffy puppy." The Duke and the girl were sitting in his office. Cartel explained that he had a lot to do, and that's why he didn't visit her often, and asked how she was feeling. Now, Rosianna replied that everything is fine, nothing hurts, and she feels even better than before. Maybe so. Even the deep wound on the forehead has already healed. But she has been lying for almost a week and has not woken up, began the Duke. Most likely she lost consciousness because of thought, the girl. The cartel said that she herself knew the reason, and Joshua said that she used magic. Herzog asked if she had lost consciousness before. The man added that he accepted her as a new member of the family, thereby committing himself to take care of her. The cartel said that if she hides the truth, he will be powerless to help. The Duke was very worried that he would not wake up after the ball. Rosianna apologized, but it was only recently here, and she didn't want to cause such big problems over small things. Trivia? The Duke asked tensely. Rosianna assured him that everything was really fine. Plus, Joshua was looking after her. But if something similar happens in the future, she will inform the master, because he is her guardian and protector. The cartel agreed. The cartel asked if he knows, and why he loses consciousness after using magic. Rosianna explained that the symptoms appeared when she first tried her powers, but she did not know the exact reason. The Duke said that when she was unconscious, he called a mage to examine her, and he said that she had used all the mana and strength in such quantities that no human could have. She has enormous power, but she is still a child, and does not know how to manage mana effectively, which is why she tires her body. However, the main problem is something else. When the mage raised his hand to look at the source of the magic, he saw a faint crack appear in her mana source. Rosianna was shocked at this news. Mana is both soul and life force, which means that using it is dangerous to her life. So the Duke asks her again, "Are you sure you want to learn magic?" He said firmly. Rosianna thanked the master for the trouble, but she is not going to give up. She needs it. The cartel was very surprised and said that it was really because of Histana. Of course he wants to lift the curse, but Rosianna countered that she was the one who proposed the deal and wanted to keep it, and that she had other reasons as well, and she also promised that she would tell everything to the Duke after the ball. But if the magician came, then he already knows what happened to her body, what is wrong. The girl pointed to her shoulder, which glowed with a purple glow, and explained that it bore the seal of mind control, an ancient dark magic, a gift from Marquis Schwarlin. Then she told that he was from the asylum, and that he practiced forbidden magic. "So you are not his daughter," said the Duke gloomily. Rosianna lowered her head and sincerely apologized for lying and cheating. She hoped that he would take her as a souvenir of a friend. The owner, Marquis Schwarlin, is still alive, and the seal has not disappeared. Proof of that? Continue asked. Mr. Shi saw many books and scrolls in her foster father's secret study. Among them was information about the divine fragments relics. The Duke asked if she was talking about those legendary shrines. That's right, those 8 crystals that according to legend God gave to people. Marquis Schwarlin located one of them. This crystal is known for granting wishes, so just one crystal is enough to gain immense power. If you collect all 8, you can arrange a whole apocalypse. But what will happen to this power if a thief takes it? It will definitely be a disaster. However, if you believe the legends, then with the power of the crystal, you can remove the curse from his wife. But the problem is, Marquis Schwarlin, the Duke is actually him. The girl started, but he interrupted her. The cartel knows that Marquis is in love with Histana, but he will stop at nothing to break the curse. Rosianna was very surprised at this, and added that after that, Schwarlin would bend her to his will, and if he cannot remove the spell, he will send her to the other world. After all, he will be able to transfer her soul to another body with his own strength. Rosianna apologized to the master for telling him all about it. Only now, the cartel asked why, and she apologized because none of the events are happening through her fault. Who knew that his greed would lead to Schwarlin entering the game? Rosiana said that if the seal of consciousness remains on her, then one day she may harm the master, and she does not want that at all. She needs to get stronger and destroy the stigma before Schvarlin returns. She knows who can help her and asks the master to let her tell her about her plan. The cartel used magic on the evil animal, but suddenly a red wolf joined them and saved them from it. When Rosiana came that night, she hoped he would keep his promise, but she didn't expect it to be so easy. She stroked the red-haired creature, and the animal began to transform. "It's really you, Incense," Rosiana spoke. "Gloomy forest, bordering the icy mountains of the Duchy of Hamel. It is like a maze full of monsters, so an ordinary person cannot get out alive." "Well, why did you get up?" Joshua was indignant. Kadim explained that the teacher does not like to meet people. The little duke became even more angry and asked then why he had brought them here. Rosiana told Kadim that she needed to meet with his teacher. She asked him to at least ask if he was ready to talk to her. The guy ordered to wait here. A tall and fair-haired man approached Kadim. It was the wizard of the gloomy forest, Asil Lustarif. He started to go to the girl, but Cartel covered her with him and ordered her to hide behind him. Asil invited them to follow him. Everyone was sitting in their rooms, except for the wizard and the girl. Joshua clearly did not like Kadim. He asked his father if Rosiana would be safe alone with that man. Cartel remembered their conversation the day before. He asked if he was going to go to the gloomy forest. The Holy Knights constantly patrol this area, but it is still dangerous there. He will not give his permission. Rosiana countered that a very powerful mage lived there. He is famous for helping people from the enchantment of the forest and find their way home. She was told that he has a powerful power, but this is just information from the original book. The cartel objected that he might be powerful, but there were no guarantees that he would agree to train her. This trip was dangerous. Rosiana said it was the only chance to figure out how to break the seal. This is only the first step to take the second. And the second is admission to the academy. It is not only a neutral territory, but also the best place to find information from ancient letters of different countries. In addition, with good academic performance, you can join the student assembly and speed up your trip abroad. Belle and other heroes were also there. Rosiana said she would go there and look for information on other shrines, as well as learn magic to break Histana's curse. Even if studying charms is dangerous for her, they don't have time to think. He should allow her to go there. Asil said that Kadim talked a lot about her, and he will ask directly, "How did you know where I am?" He spoke because he has been living here for 10 years, and during this time many people wanted to find him but could not, and she knew for sure that he was here and contacted him through Kadim. The magician held a letter in his hands, which was written, "I know that you are looking for the key to the world tree." She wrote about what he was looking for, from where. Rosiana asked to begin by greeting the powerful mage, the first master of the magical tower that protects knowledge. The girl said that she saw the future, where natural disasters began due to the division of the world, and monsters began to destroy people. It was just awful. The girl asked him if he is looking for this key because he also feels such a future. Asil said that he was similar and knew the reason for his presence in this forest. He thinks that the world tree is right here. Exactly, answered the wizard. This forest is known as the most dangerous in the country, but in fact there is a lot of natural energy and mana in its depths, and now it is unclear where the magical creatures that devour the guardian monsters came from, due to which the local spirits gradually disappear, and an unknown dark force lures more people here. Asil believed that something had happened to the world tree, so he moved here to protect it. He thinks that she told him about it because she needs something from him. Asil is amazed at how much she knows, but he still can't trust her. He wants to check if she can really be trusted. Rosiana agreed with this. Asil used magic over the girl's head to test it because mana never lies. He saw red hair there, judging by everything this child, this feeling. His hand was injured after all this. Rosiana was too worried about it. Asil said that everything is in order. and it is much more important that she was telling the truth, and that means that he is ready to listen to her request. She turned to them. The cartel asked, "What is going on, and will stay here for 3 years?" Rosianna explained that she would need to study to enter the academy. Time was short, but she had to try. 3 years is such a long time, said Joshua. Rosianna asked him if he was crying, and added that they were not saying goodbye forever. She would write him letters. "Goody, better take care of yourself," the boy said through tears. Even if she doesn't learn magic, he will become stronger to protect her, so that the events of the ball never happen again. Rosianna was at first surprised by his words, and then she smiled and thanked her brother Joshua. Time began to fly faster, eager for events based on the plot of the original book. I concentrate the required amount of mana, in one point restrain it, preventing it from dispersing, and strike. It worked. She was able to, but it seems she overdid it. The girl started to fall. "Rosianna," a scream was heard. Kadam caught her and said that the teacher told her not to overwork and allowed her to train only 5 hours a day. They have both grown up a lot. Rosianna has already turned 16 years old. Rosianna and Kadim packed their suitcases. Asil asked her if she had anything, and did not forget. She replied that she took everything she needed, and even the magical tools he gave her. "Wait a minute," he said. "This elixir that helps restore mana is another potion that restores physical condition. Here is another scroll that warms the food." Another Kadam interrupted him. The boy told the teacher that she physically would not be able to carry all this ballast. Asil was indignant and denied his words. Rosianna thanked the teacher, but she really couldn't take it all with her. 3 years flew by so quickly. Time passes so imperceptibly. Asil asked that he could also enter the academy. Rosianna protested that he could not leave the forest for long. The magician said that if she needed his help, then let her turn to him. Taking care of the forest is very important, but as a teacher, he also has to take care of his students. He asked Kadam to look after her. They left. Rosianna asked if it was difficult for him to carry all this alone. She could also take something. The boy refused the offer. The girl asked him why he also entered the academy, because he does not like to be in society. Does he really not want to return to his homeland? Kadim denied that he entered the academy of his own free will. He has no attachment to the house for a long time. He may go another time. Kadim asked that she really doesn't want to study with him. Rosianna denied this and thought to herself that in the original plot, she and he had a relationship of mistress and servant, but now it was not so. She thinks everything will be fine. Rosianna said that she is really happy to study with him, and she is counting on him. They arrived at their destination. Lucarian Academy is an educational institution for those who strive for knowledge, regardless of social status. It is a sovereign territory that does not belong to any continents. It is a boarding house, and therefore, admission is possible only from the age of 16. Here you can study magic, swordsmanship, management, etc. They are divided into classes from A to D. Rosianna suggested that we arrange things in the rooms and then meet in the central building. Rosianna was looking at the lists. Kadim was in Class A in swordsmanship. "Lady Blancourt," someone called her from behind. It was Milady Freya, and she clearly stood out in the crowd. Her hair is a unique pink color. Belle heard that she was in the sanatorium the whole time. Belle pointed to the boy next to her and said that he was her older brother, named Roxion. He thanked her for helping his sister. Then, and indeed they saw each other then, at the Blancourt estate. What an awkward meeting. Suddenly, a blond boy approached them from the crowd. "Joshua, yes, I am your brother," he said happily. He began to ruffle her hair and added that there was no news from her for 10 days. Rosianna denied that they had just met. "And you have grown a lot," the girl said happily. Is that all she wants to tell him? Joshua thanked her for those words as well. He is still the same as before. She realized that she met almost all the main characters. However, something doesn't seem right. Kadim fell in love with Belle at first sight and Joshua. Her brother is that girl. Rosianna explained that it was Belle who had come. When she was unconscious, Joshua asked if Rosianna had time to look around the academy yet. And that's all? She thought. The guy added that there will be a ceremony for freshmen very soon. Lucarian Academy. He is the deputy director. Lutra. Mele Rosianna was thinking about something else, namely that neither Kadim nor Joshua showed any interest in Belle. Maybe they just didn't understand yet. It's okay if they're not interested in Belle yet, but the main plot events are just starting at the academy, so you have to be ready. There were only 3 main characters left who had not yet met Lady Freya. The first is Hellas. He is currently fighting monsters. He is still a long way from entering Lucarian Academy. The second is Jerta. The main thing is that Belle does not approach the church and the Tower of Magicians. Then they will not meet. And the last one is Rachel. He is also. Lutra said that their curator on this course will be Rahel Blancourt. The Duke's second son had dark hair and clear blue eyes. What is he doing here? According to the original, Rahel was supposed to have already graduated from the academy, and upon his return was to prepare for the inheritance of the Blancourt house. While he is there, a world rift should appear during which the younger duke will receive a divine blessing and true power. The church will receive a prophecy which says that the one who is to master the power of the goddess will study in an academy. At that very moment, the imperial power was as strong as ever, and religion had no influence whatsoever. A girl with those powers had to return that power. However, he who does not teach and does not study in the academy will not be able to take a step inside, and therefore the emperor will take advantage of the moment when the church cannot act, and will try to be the first to get to the owner of such power. At this time, the first Prince Alain will be fighting a serious illness, and the second Hellas will be successfully fighting monsters. But the emperor, not having a better option, will again send Rachel back to the academy, but already as a teacher, so that he will find the owner of the power of the goddess. However, the monarch's calculations will give a crack. Rachel was a man of high morals, who valued the good of humanity above the orders of the emperor. But first, he was the son of the house of Blancourt, who never changed their principles. You can find the cause of the world rift and save an unheard-of number of people only if you unite with the goddess Rachel, followed this prophecy, and return to the academy to protect it from a self-serving emperor. Rosianna thought that it was too soon for him to come back here anyway. Is it because the Duke did not go to Hamel? Rachel's love. Blancourt was the most healthy compared to the other feelings of the heroes, and he is the only one to whom Belle gave her heart, but he kept her in a completely different way. Belle asked why, stood in his way. She has holy power in the monster and could stop herself. Rachel, you don't need to sacrifice yourself, she shouted, and she was absolutely right. Besides, young Blancourt could also defeat such an opponent in close combat. Sorry, said Rachel tiredly. How painful it is from a simple word, thought the goddess. She realized that the only one who was ready to hide her behind him in the moment of danger was dead tired. It was the same punishment in a little hell. He was the only one to remind her of hope and love when she gave up. As a result, he was the first to give up and stop fighting for his life. This realization made the goddess so hurt. Everyone thought Rachel was cold and calculating. But in terms of protecting Belle, he was the kindest person in the world. For the sake of peace, Rachel soiled her sword with the blood of many people, including her younger brother Joshua. If you divide everything into black and white, then he is a man of honor, absolute goodness. But how did he relate to Rosianna in the plot? Lady Rosianna, Belle shouted, and said that she had become so gloomy, even in the central building. The girl apologized and explained that she just thought a little and changed the topic to what they were talking about earlier. Freya wanted to know in which dormitory she lived. Rosianna looked at the paper and said that building C room 301, hooray, you and I are in the same room. The lady said happily. The girl knew about it before, but she is still glad to see Belle like this. Rosianna asked to be called by her first name because everyone is equal in the academy regardless of status. Belle agreed and said that she was very happy that they would be living in the same room and that she hoped that their life together would be wonderful. But I am sure that they will not be bored. They sat together at the table. The girl thought about how calm it was now, and it would be good if it was always like this. Kadim fed her strawberries from his hands. Rosianna asked where it was from, and he answered that the teacher bought it. Rosianna, how can you eat from his hand? Joshua was very indignant. And what? You also fed me delicious food, she snapped. Can't friends feed each other? And the truth, said the boy. Kadim crushed the strawberries. The girl noticed this and asked why he did it, because he also got his hand dirty. The guy looked hard and answered that he didn't know either. Give it to me, I'll wipe, Rosianna said firmly. Stand, Joshua shouted suddenly. But what? Again. Rosianna was indignant. Joshua explained that his sister's friend and his friend, so he takes care of him himself, and he really started to wipe his hand, but he thought about how Kadim was beating him. Belle asked Roseanne what courses she had chosen, and she herself was thinking about nature and life. Joshua snapped that it was so-so, to be honest. They say that the teacher is a fool. Freya asked what the girl thought about it. She also likes medicine and herbalism. The blonde interrupted her and denied that there was nothing interesting about growing herbs. Joshua, stop. Rosianna was indignant and stuffed a strawberry into his mouth. Rosianna asked Belle if she liked alchemy and herbalism, from where the girl added that all these courses are related to medicine. Freya explained that it is difficult for commoners to get treatment because of the budget. They cannot afford expensive medicines. She wants to research herbs that are easy to find around the house and make the right medicine from them. She can't do anything now, but she hopes that then. Rosianna said that she would be able to do everything, and thought that it would be Belle who would find the flowers of the Tatari mushroom later. Rosianna added that then she would also sign up for this course, so they would be able to help each other. Belle was very moved by her words and rejoiced. Rachel approached Joshua and said that they had not seen each other for a long time, even on vacation. And who is that? His brother noted that he had not yet met Rosianna. Her father had already adopted her a long time ago. Suddenly, Kadim covered the girl with himself. Rachel asked what he was doing. Rosianna began to get nervous and said that she urgently needed to return to her room because she had forgotten the course lists there and she would be back soon. No one had time to stop her, as she had already run away. The next day, a lecture on the theory of magic. Freya looked at Rosianna in confusion and remembered their conversation last night. Belle asked what happened between her and Rachel. Why was she behaving so strangely? Rosianna explained that she just felt sick then and apologized for making her feel so bad. Belle noticed that she looked better today than yesterday. The weather is beautiful today, and the lesson on the theory of magic was not so difficult. Belle was worried, but the teacher's explanations turned out to be simple. Rosianna asked if the next class was after lunch. Freya confirmed this. Suddenly, screams were heard. The girls approached the crowd. This is first-year swordsman training. What's the mess? What happened here? Why are they unconscious? Only Joshua was on his feet, and Kadim was lying against the wall with cracks behind him. He asked the other guy why he was still standing and not giving up. He brought Kadim to such a state. During this time, he became much stronger. And if it's not surprising, she is very happy about this, but asked why her brother bullies the first-year students. Joshua asked if she came to see her cool brother. The girl was angry and once again asked him if he fought with freshmen. Joshua was indignant and denied it. Suddenly, Kadim joined the conversation and said that they asked him to do this because they wanted to test their strength with him. The boy added that this is because the teachers are not familiar with the techniques of aristocratic knights. Rosianna patted Kadim on the cheek and said that you should be more careful because his face was even swollen. And what about me? Joshua was indignant. Knights? Has he read so much about it and wants to become one? Kadim said that it was already dinner time and he would go change his clothes. Does he have an ear injury? Rosianna noticed it. They were sitting at the dinner table. Rosianna had finished her strawberry when suddenly everyone started giving her theirs. The girl was very surprised that no one likes her because she can sell her soul for her. Rosianna persuaded Belle to try at least one. Is it delicious? She asked. My lady confirmed it. Joshua said that he would not give up strawberries either, clearly hinting that he also wants to get attention from his sister. Rachel suddenly approached them and asked Rosianna if she could sit next to her. She agreed. So many free seats, but he sat right here. Kadim said that if she doesn't want to, then there's no need to force her and offered her to go because she still has classes. Rosianna was overjoyed at his offer. Rosianna avoided meetings with the second brother many times, and he could not fail to notice that she did not want to talk to him. Practice of magic seals. Rosianna thought that Rachel would definitely notice that she was avoiding him. He has already met Belle, and she just needs to look after them. The teacher introduced Rahel, a graduate of this academy, to the audience, and he will help them in practice. Today, they were asked to draw a magic seal on a piece of paper, and then it should be used to protect against Liana Fandrake. His blows are quite painful. Fandrake is a magical plant that cracks everyone up with its jokes. Its feature is very long vines that constantly grow anew if they are cut. The girl had seen these seals before in books. Rahel approached her and said that if she needed before he could finish. Rosianna burst in and said that she had already finished and she had to get in line. One of the students tried to use the seal on the plant, but it was useless. The vines grabbed him. Rachel helped him get off them, and the teacher noticed that he had redrawn the seal incorrectly. In one place, Rosianna was next in line. Using magic seals is a basic skill, but it is the first step to mastering artifacts and magical items. Everyone's tags look the same, but if you put the wrong amount of mana into them or lose focus, it's all for naught. Rosianna made a mistake, and the liana grabbed her leg. Rachel cut her down, causing the girl to fall to the floor. Her magic seal was correct, but the problem was that she lost her concentration. The brother noticed that she had injured her knee and offered to take her to a doctor. The girl denied that she would go by herself. Rachel said he could carry her on his back. It's better to get to your two. He was already treating her wound on the leg. How embarrassing. Why isn't the doctor here right now? Rosianna said she would leave now. Rachel asked why she was running away from him. What? An incomprehensible girl. He explained that even Joshua pissed him off because he thinks she has a grudge against him. The elder sees his brother like this for the first time. The boy said that it was so obvious that even those around him noticed it. Did she not think that he would not pay attention to it? Did I offend you? He asked tensely. No, that's not the point, the girl started. In this situation, Rachel's problems are solely due to Rosianna, because according to the original plot, it was he who sent her to the other world. She does not remember what happened before or after, but she still feels the pain. Rosianna should have been sent to the world of the dead. She was obsessed with her whims, but that does not excuse her horrible act. She made him feel guilty about his brother. Everyone understands that if Joshua had not been sent to the other world, then he would have damaged Freya's master or her power, and then be Duke Blancourt and his brother. Rachel interrupted her thoughts and said that her father talked a lot about her. He hadn't seen his warm smile on his face for a long time, and Joshua had completely changed, especially when he talked about her. With her arrival, a lot has changed in the Blancourt family. If he and Joshua had not met, then he would have lost his mind with that teacher, and his father spent all his time in Hamel. Thank you for what you said, Rachel. He returned to the academy to work as a researcher and to help and protect it. Therefore, if she needs help, let her turn to him. Rosianna apologized for avoiding him. In the original, Rachel is very kind. You shouldn't be afraid of what hasn't happened yet because she decided to change her fate. Rosianna explained to him that she was adopted and that she was not his family. so she was afraid that he would be uncomfortable with her. Joshua didn't love her right away either. The girl panicked, and I wanted to come up with some stupid excuse. Rachel brought her to her senses, with the words that he couldn't even think that she was worried about something like this. Rahel added that he had already been told a lot about her. He does not have a bad attitude towards her after what he heard, and is even grateful to her. He hopes that she will also be comfortable with him, but he cannot force her to communicate. Rachel admitted that he was a little surprised by the unexpected appearance of his younger sister, but at the same time, he was very happy about their meeting. They shook hands. The lesson will end soon. You have to go to the auditorium. How noisy, said Roxanne, getting up from the bed. Rosianna was in the library and thought that it would rain. Soon take a couple of books and go to the dormitory. Suddenly she saw that Roxanne was sleeping on the sofa. What is he doing here? Maybe it's better to wake him up. Will it rain soon? The girl tugged on his shoulder, and he, in response, waved it off and hit her hand with the words, "What happened?" Rosianna quickly apologized for bothering and explained that it would soon rain and the hostel curfew would end. Suddenly, the girl heard a loud noise and ran outside. The boy also came out. Roxanne remembered her touch and realized that he had felt something strange. Then suddenly, a cat spoke to him and asked what happened. He replied that nothing happened. She said that he had a fever and that he should drink medicine. People are so disgusting. The crowd with pitchforks shouted that they were magical freaks. It was because of them that monsters appeared. It was suspicious that they lived without the head of the family in the forest, but they also do sorcery. They are ready to destroy anyone who is even a little bit different from them. The woman hugged the little child and said that everything is fine and that Roxanne should not be afraid. These people are just angry and want to take out their anger for the loss of loved ones. Everything will be fine. They tear those who are weaker than them. The woman defended her child. He is not guilty, and she herself is not connected with charms and monsters. The crowd didn't care what they said. Little Roxanne saw with his own eyes how his mother was sent to the other world. Those who are more afraid and try to kill people wanted to attack the little boy as well because they thought he was a diabolical bastard. Mom, why do they hate us so much? Suddenly, one of his eyes turned black, and the entire crowd suddenly disappeared, leaving only ashes beneath them. That same day it snowed, and his mother and the people who thought they were monsters all got covered in it, and he walked without stopping, completely alone, and inside he was consumed by malice. The boy was sitting on the ground, and suddenly a gentleman approached him and said that these lands have a master. How did he end up here? No one can enter here without permission. Ah, he's half werewolf. This gentleman had long black hair and expressive violet eyes. He said that the boy could not worry because he would not harm him and offered to go with him. Roxanne woke up in his bed, and with him lay the same black cat that can speak human language. Rosianna asked Belle if she was in pain. But I asked in response if it is so obvious. She explained that she is very worried about her brother because he is very sick now and he has stopped coming to her. Rosianna said that if she sees Roxanne, she will definitely tell her. Belle smiled sincerely and thanked her. Roxanne is the heir of Duke Freya and the older brother of the main character, Belle. She knows nothing more about him. Although he is a member of the main family, the boy is a real mystery. According to the story, Helios dealt with him and his family because of their connections with magical creatures. However, at that moment, the Mad Prince couldn't do it without some evidence about werewolves. After Belle became the bearer of the goddess's power, Roxanne did not use her power, but on the contrary, began to protect her. Much worse for Milady was the Imperial family and the church, which wanted to get her power for their own purposes. "Wake up, it looks like the medicine has stopped working," said the black cat. Rosianna heard this and ran to Roxanne, who was sitting unconscious on the floor. She ordered him to stay here and she would call for help. The guy said that you can't call anyone. Rosianna carried it to the sofa in the library. "You can't go to the doctor. You can't go to the hostel either. Who will help him here? Suddenly the same black cat came to them. The girl was surprised where he came from and told him that the boy was not feeling well and let him stay with her. A dark purple aura, a black eye, and pointed ears, judging by everything. Don't look, the boy shouted and covered her eyes, adding that if she sits quietly, he will not touch her. The girl assured him not to worry and said that she did not see anything. She asked me to relax and breathe more calmly. The girl removed his hand and put him in a lying position, checking his body temperature. Great, he got a little better. Roxanne, a werewolf. It turns out that in the original, Helias found out about this. He was sweating all over, but she can't take him to the doctor. Child, do you want to help him? A voice was heard. The girl could not understand where it came from. Who was it? I'm here, said the black cat, and licked his paw. The cat is talking to her. He confirmed it. The cat crawled up to the boy and touched his forehead with his paw and said that he was full of strength. He is half human and half werewolf, and he has to go through something like that to deal with the power inside him. Rosianna asked, who is in front of her now? A monster or a guardian spirit? Keith replied that he didn't even know. Does it really matter? The most important thing is to help the guy. What should be done? The girl asked. The animal asked to give her hand. The cat bit her finger from where a red liquid poured out. Rosianna was indignant and asked why. The animal replied that let him feed it and he will feel better. The girl obeyed and raised her hand to Roxion's lips. He quickly woke up and grabbed her. You don't have to bite so hard. So sweet, warm, and pleasant. The fever that tormented him began to subside. Roxion woke up and wondered how he got here. Suddenly, he saw Rosianna lying unconscious on the floor. He was very surprised by such a picture. Keith explained that this girl had shared the red liquid with him because it was the best way to calm the beast. While he was unconscious, he drank a lot of liquid from her. Now he owes him. Rosianna's body was very tired because of this. Before, the boy resisted doing this, but it helped him a lot. The cat rubbed the girl's hand and said that she was extraordinary, and he really liked the way she stroked him. It's a pity that she will have to erase her memory. Keith used a magic seal on her. Roxion said it was too dangerous for anyone to know he was a werewolf. Belle told the girl that she was very worried because she did not return by the curfew. Rosianna explained that she hardly remembers last night. Although there are some hazy memories, Rosianna asked her if anything good had happened, and she confirmed it, explaining that her brother had finally recovered and was even able to go to the market. It's a pity that the city is only released once a month. Belle said that she was glad because they had the opportunity to walk around the city. The girl agreed with her. Suddenly, Rosianna felt a strange and at the same time familiar feeling of anxiety. The lady offered to go to a restaurant because she was sure that it would be delicious there. Half an hour ago, the girls were walking, but suddenly bandits approached them. The grandfather behind them called Belle and said that she had forgotten her pass. She thanked him, but suddenly the man was attacked from behind. The bandits scolded that you can't just trade on the street, you have to pay a commission, but they took pity on the man and took only 30 gold from him. The grandfather denied that he did not have such funds. The bandits then ordered him to pay the amount in goods. Belle said that they would call the guards. And then the man interrupted her and said that they would not let them pass to the guards. Rosianna offered to give them 2 gold pieces and this brooch. They are not allowed to attack civilians. Of course, they have protection charms on them, but now it is better to call the guard. The bandit examined the jewelry and concluded that it was an expensive item. Grandfather sincerely thanked the girls. Rosianna told Belle that she needed to go to the guards urgently and agreed with her. The man offered them a cup of tea, each as a sign of gratitude, but they hurried to the guards and therefore refused. They followed him, but something was protruding from his back. Right now, the girls sat with their hands tied in a room that resembled a shed. Who knew that dear grandfather was with bandits? Belle began to blame herself for this. Rosianna protested that she realized it too late too. This happens in the city center. The bandit sat down next to them and noticed that they were sitting quietly. He added that it is a pity to let them in just for ransom. He touched Belle and said that, at the slave auction, he would have received 3 times as much. Rosianna was outraged by this and ordered him to remove his dirty hands from her friend. And his face is disgusting. She added the bandit was not jokingly angry. The girl noticed that he was in the city not so long ago. The bandit shouted that he should not have been so gentle with them. He could not stand it and hurt her face for noble ladies. He will receive a good ransom. Suddenly, someone broke into the room. "Ah, you hideous dog! Get your dirty paws off her! My hand!" whined the bandit. "Maybe you shouldn't have touched my little sister," Joshua snapped. Joshua pushed the thug aside. Kadim and Roxanne ran to them. The first was terrified. He approached Rosianna and said that they hadn't seen each other since the morning he touched her cheek. It probably hurt. Who dared? Rosianna assured her that everything was fine, and it would be much worse if they used magic outside the academy. So she waited for their first strike. "You are incredible," Kadim said gently. Her hands were shaking, but she was not afraid. Different people live side by side on neutral territory, which is why conflicts arise. Of course, there are people looking after him. Usually these are graduates from the academy. Also, it is not uncommon for students to join their ranks who have not yet finished their studies, but already have a good command of the sword. The academy is a safe zone for students. Everyone has a seal of protection. If someone attacks the students in a civilian area, the magic signal goes off automatically, and the knights are sent to protect them, which is why she wasn't too worried about their theft. "Do you even think about yourself? The cheek is so swollen," said Joshua, in confusion. Rosianna told Roxanne that his sister was not hurt. He just looked at her strangely in response. Look at them. His sister finally went out for a walk, but because of them, she couldn't do it normally. No shame. Joshua was indignant and added that there was a pastry shop nearby, and did she want to go there? They were all already sitting in the pastry shop. Kadim again fed strawberries to Rosianna, because of which her brother was again dissatisfied. The girl asked Belle if she was still scared, and maybe he wants to go back to the hostel. Belle said that there are so many different sweets that she even calmed down a little. However, she is only worried about her friend. She should be more attentive. She is very sorry. Rosianna did not even think that she would be so sad because of this. In the original, she always missed her days in the shelter. With the arrival of her family, her life became full. However, due to her new status, she could not go outside the house, and after awakening her powers in games became a luxury. Rosianna wanted to help her relax. Rosianna said that she was very happy to spend time with her. They will still have the opportunity to walk together again. Belle smiled sincerely and thanked her. The girls were sitting at the morning lecture. The teacher turned to them and wanted to introduce someone brand new. The girl thought quickly. All graduates of the academy are very successful people. It is like a temple of young talents. New students are not uncommon. The newcomer introduced himself as Jerta Liego from the kingdom of Iter. This is the same waiter. Double Rosianna was shocked when she heard this. He should not have appeared here at all. Jerta approached Rosianna and asked if she was free here, and she confirmed it. Why did he come to the academy? His first appearance was supposed to be in the wizard's tower. Did he see Belle? Is its appearance a coincidence? There is no logic in the appearance of Jerta. He is a genius who will be the leader of the magical community. He himself will pave his way to success. In the novel, the boy considered entering the academy a waste of time. Why did everything turn out like this? Jerta treated the girl to marmalade, and she took it and thanked him. However, she's not stupid enough to eat. It is she. It is not clear what could be there. The boy offered it to Belle, who happily took it and brought it to her lips. Rosiana used magic to make the candy fall to the floor. Jerta smiled and asked why Rosiana doesn't eat it. She came up with an excuse that she wanted to leave the sweet for later. He clearly noticed that she used magic. The guy said that he would take more next time, and added that he should ask them to give him a tour because he has a bad memory and it is difficult to navigate in a large institution. Lies, he's fine with it. The girls began to give him a tour of the academy. At the moment they were in fencing class, but suddenly Kadim called her from the door. He asked if she had already finished her lessons. The boys suggested that she go to the greenhouse. You can't leave Belle alone with him. Suddenly, Jerta said that he had already seen enough and there was no need to continue the tour if they can still show tomorrow. Strangely enough, it turned out that almost all the girls' activities coincided with Jerta's. Now he constantly follows them with his tail. Even Joshua noticed that he looked like a dog. Library. This is all very strange. There must be some explanation for this. Rosiana doesn't understand what he's even thinking. Jerta is not interested in Belle. He only does what he goes after her. The girl could not reach the book. Need help? Suddenly, Jerta appeared standing as close to her back as possible. He handed her the book she needed. The girl asked him to move away, which greatly upset the boy. She is so strict with him she doesn't like him. What should he do to make her fall in love with him? Jerta took her hand, but Rosiana skillfully pushed him away, thereby increasing the distance. What is that about anyway? The lady was indignant. Suddenly and inexplicably, Belle appeared from where? If she looks like her best friend, will she be just as cruel? She never forgets the people she met by chance. Does Rosiana know who it is? What? Acts like they're close. As it turns out, Jerta used magic to turn into Belle. The boys said that it was very sad. Jerta used magic, like a protective barrier. There is no one here, but it will not hurt to be careful, because they have a conversation. Why me to you? He asked slyly, and added that the trust of customers is the most important thing for them. He follows the one she asked for. Does she not remember her second request? Find information about whether the Empress and Viscount Portman ever met. A very strange task, Rosiana replied that she remembered, and they had already obtained an answer for her. The Empress and the Viscount met many times. In addition, she has a hobby, taking care of the greenhouse. It is said that they met at an auction when the owner was buying flowers from Elasia. They cost a lot of money. The Elasias are a clan that used to live on the border of the state. The Empress is from there. In the past, these lands were destroyed by territorial troops, and the entire family disappeared. This flower is a symbol of these people, which will not wither even in winter. If it was put up for auction, it means that this flower was grown on the lands of the clan. Why is it resistant to different temperatures? Rosiana asked if it was a test. Jetra replied that it was too loud a word. Rosiana said she just wanted to check. She only asked for information about whether the two had met, and he himself told more. But there is no information about the agreement between him, but it was still useful. The precious flowers withered in an instant, and all because the soil was not only used for cultivation, but also for something else. What could be more valuable? The neef plant. It grows as you like, but only on clan lands. Does the red color appear on the leaves? She learned this information from the Marquis auction house. If you constantly sniff or eat leaves, then the mind will become cloudy. Even an adult will become a faithful dog. This is great material for slave power. She used them to take possession of Kadim, which did not work. The leaves work only on those who do not yet possess magic. If the child is strong from birth, then they will be useless. While studying with Viscount Portman, Joshua ate candy with this plant. If she hadn't realized it, then everything would have failed. Having received information about the Empress, the girl was able to put together the missing pieces, but the puzzle was not complete. Yet would he be disappointed? Gentra burst out laughing. He said that she was truly the best client he ever had. What does he mean? Gentra said that not only did she notice something suspicious, the guy would not be disappointed in her, but he was just curious. The first thing he learned was that the adopted daughter of the Duke of Blancourt, The Empress has a good reputation, even without looking at her origin. The people love her, but there are rumors that she is a priestess. Her meeting with the Viscount sounds quite interesting. That is why he decided to find out as much as possible. But the Viscount suddenly disappeared. Joshua was mentor at the time. His father abruptly quits his job and returns home. An adopted daughter suddenly appears. With its appearance, people began to behave differently. Second, does the Empress really grow Neef's coots? Many are sure of this. There was a fire in the greenhouse. All the evidence disappeared, and the plants burned. However, even if they remained, it would still be very difficult to blame the owner. Empress from Halacia. Peoples like her clan bowed to her to survive. She will not be loyal to the Emperor because of what he did to her people. Everyone adores her and would never believe she could commit a crime. But why is Joshua her target? At first, she kept the second prince on a leash. Rosianna thought it was to protect Alan's position. However, didn't she know that coots wouldn't harm a person with a strong aura? After waking up, the effect will disappear. According to the plot, the Empress goes to the other world at the hands of Helias, because he, due to his status, was not too worried about what people would think of him. However, her behavior was different from the book, and Jerta, contrary to the plot, ended up in the academy. It's like a butterfly effect. Maybe the Empress will still be alive. The owner will no longer be a character in the background. You need to pay more attention to her. The boy said that she was the only one who could understand his thoughts. A possible future is a real gift. Does she know that when she passed out at the banquet, a magician came to the estate? Rosianna confirmed this. Jertha said that he was sent to her by the Empress. What does he mean? An incomprehensible girl. After the incident with Joshua, the security of the estate was greatly improved. If the mage had bad intentions, the system would work. The magician did not know that he was under the control of the mistress, but it was not the court magician who arrived at the estate, but he himself. What? The girl was indignant. All magic leaves traces, but the Duke didn't notice it. Jerta explained that he was worried about her and decided to visit. He chose the right time and followed the court mage heading to Blancourt Manor and sensed something strange. Jerta asked if she knew the difference between ordinary black magic and sorcery. The first pollutes the mana of the person who uses it, and the second is a different matter. It pollutes mana before the spell is cast. That is after that, the dirt is removed like a snake's skin. Rosianna said he wouldn't just talk about it. Was the magician who was supposed to come to her exposed? Absolutely true. The boy confirmed and added that he would receive another gift this way. This information is related to her. Not so many people can use charms. This information is secret, but he was able to learn something. Firstly, only the leader and his close relatives could cast spells. Second, magic requires offerings and pure mana. Let's return to the story with the magician who went to the Blancourt estate. Even charms have a weakness. When the spell is dispelled, it becomes possible to see the sorcerer's personality. Jerta began to dig further and found out that the Empress had imposed it on him. Of course, not many people know about it. He is not sure if the girl knows it, but he is a beautiful magician. The flowers which react to the affected mana that she gave them were very useful. The sorcerer under the spell was not supposed to say anything. Jerta tried to bypass it. The flowers reacted to the contaminated mana and showed her dream to the Empress herself. Could the magician himself understand it? Of course not. The defiled mana had a vision where the wizard was exploring the Duke's estate as ordered, so that she received incorrect information. He corrected a little in this dream. The adopted daughter did not wake up, but her condition is returning to normal. The Duke fulfills his duty, but does not worry much about her. How is this possible? Flowers do work on people with dirty mana, but altering memories didn't even exist in the original. This gift, what is the reason for his generosity? After all, there is a golden rule. Take it, return it. But she didn't give anything but only knew about some of their abilities. Is he missing something? Jerta replied that he just wanted to share it with her. Why not accept it? Rosiana answered, because in this world, nothing is done for nothing. The easier it is to get information, the more doubts about its veracity. Jirta said that he liked this point of view, but his gift was more like a bribe. Since she has already heard it, she cannot refuse. The boy said that she already knew about the cracks from the Duke, but that was not all the details. The magic of silencing creation for safety. Of course, to tell the truth when it comes to illness. But he hid it. How cruel. Does she think she's glad he hid her tainted mana? The first step in learning magic is accepting and understanding yourself. How much mana can you hold? But will you be able to use her? Asil asked her if she knew that there was a crack in her vessel. Rosiana confirmed this. Mana is a spiritual and vital force. If there is a crack in its vessel, it means that something is wrong with the soul. There are many diseases in the world, but the one that destroys mana, this is the first time he has heard about it. There is only one experiment that is similar to her case. Once upon a time, a magician experimented on animals. He extracted the mana of the young and injected it into the old. Is this possible? The girl was indignant. Asil said that it is almost the same as black magic. How does she think that giving a dying animal mana, infused with power, will make it live longer? This is a completely different energy. Will they not repel each other like oil and water? As a result, the stronger will get rid of the weaker, and in the process, something similar to a crack was formed. But her mana is different. Asil feels a crack, but the energy is like a wound that gradually becomes one. Whole learning magic won't be a problem. The nuance is that half of it is contaminated. The taint does not spread, but he cannot understand why it became like this. Rosiana suggested that it might be an imprint of the brainwashing, but Asil denied it. Mana contamination, just like in the original, means that the soul is corrupted. Usually this effect appears if a person has made a deal with a sorcerer, but because of the crack and pollution, it does not spread. In the future, this will only happen more often. Mostly, it will be common people. It all started with those who lost their homes after the attack of monsters. Due to the dirty mana, they could not control themselves and fell into madness. Those who lost their minds were no different from monsters. They sent to the other world without pity. It was considered normal to take property from others. It was the era of house, where you either survived or killed. Belle wanted to stop the spread of the taint, but she failed. Even the healing power of the goddess could not clear the filthy mana. There was no salvation for the polluted people-created house, but Milady could not do anything about it. She then learned that the eyesore from the Duchy of Hamel and the branches of the harem tree had the power of purification, but even that was useless, as the fossils began to become polluted as well. Rosiana said that she did not know whether she was infected or not. He is not a sorcerer. Where does such confidence come from? Jirta replied that he was sure, because her case was different, but they were a little similar. Jir was a hidden character in the original. How can they be similar? Does he has tainted mana too? Rosiana asked what that meant. He replied that he could not tell everything at once. It was not profitable for him. However, he does not want her to misunderstand him and say something. Jirta is strong enough without this vile power. The girl frowned at his answer. And now let's talk about something else. She must be wondering what he wants from her. In fact, he doesn't need that much. He has a couple of questions. How did the valued customer find out about the past information? Guild password known only to its members. Also, the girl does not know how to emit mana. Then she found out that Jirta is Liego, the head. Now standing in front of him, the girl feels a wall that she cannot overcome. He was the only one who made her feel this way. Jirta noticed that she is a very interesting lady. He is sure that the future will be full of interesting events, so let him stay with her. There is no need to push him away. Just treating him like an old friend will be enough for him. He will leave when his interest dies down. By the way, it is useful to have a talented person as a friend. Maybe in the future, he will get some tips. Like today, Rosiana thought, if only this talent had not slipped her by the side. Keeping him close is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, this is a huge mistake, an absolutely reckless adventure, but if you can keep him around, then he can become an ally and support. Mom, it hurts very much, as if the skin is coming off the body. Someone is crawling in the head. Please finish me off. Alas, the first prince, my worthless son Sylvia, said coldly. Did he not say that he wanted to become stronger? He only does what he cries. When will it start to bring at least some benefit from itself? Unlike him, a useless crybaby. The second prince was born with great strength. They say that with her help, he creates incredible things. However, a little more, and he will be blessed. If this continues, he will not become the crown prince, but he will go to the other world from the hands of his brother. She should take the place that rightfully belongs to her. Black energy radiated from Alan. The empress asked him to accept this power. Let him get the throne for the sake of his mother. Dark smoke was coming from her pendant. Will this be enough? The empress thought. Energy accumulates faster and faster, but a sufficient amount cannot be collected without taint. He doesn't hear her, so he still doesn't have enough strength to ask him. The maid came to her and informed her that the second prince had returned, and asked what she should do next, because he had noticed her while she was collecting medicine from the Tower of the Magicians. He also plans to meet the emperor. The empress thanked her and informed her that she did not need her. Now it was a pity. The woman whispered obscene things in her ears, after which no one would see the servant again. The woman knocked on the door. She was given permission to enter. Empress, have you come to see the second prince? So rushed the gentleman with golden hair and eyes spoke. This is Emperor Tereus, La Francia Drago. The lady greeted her master with warm words. But she added that she is a mother, and how can she not hurry to see her own son? Welcome back, she said. Helios has grown a lot over the years. His gaze has become much colder. The father put his hand on his shoulder and said that he knew that he would quickly cope. After all, he was his son. He needs strength because tomorrow is the ceremony. Helios began to clean his palms and said that, of course, it was good. But first he wanted to get the reward. The emperor was enraged by this. The emperor said that he grew up straight, but better that way than being quieter than a mouse. He deserved this award, even without looking at the greed. The father said that he would grant him any wish, but let him say it later because he is tired and let him go. The empress also needs to rest. They left. Helios asked if it was not miraculous that a person who should have died remained alive. What is the matter, second prince? The empress asked firmly. Helios slyly replied that there was no one here, so why be afraid? He has a question for her. What happened to the person who pointed the poisoned dagger at him? She clearly wanted to get rid of him. And after she poisoned his mother, wasn't she tired of living? The empress replied that she did not understand why he said such unpleasant things. Did he not come back whole? As a mother, I am very happy. Crazy, said Helios slyly. She tricked him and locked him in a tower with his mother. He was considered a loser who was locked up by his own father. And when he was 13 years old, she decided to poison the woman and damage the boy's limbs. Did she think that he would not find out that it was her doing? Death is a luxury for her. He remembers all the pain and will do everything so that she suffers even more. Good night, Helios said coldly. Unlike the original novel, the Blancourt brothers are very good friends. Belle's daily routine is calm enough. Although Gerta joined them, she herself did not have much influence on the plot, but the behavior of the heroes changed too much. It would be easier if it was a normal romantic story. And if so, she's just a secondary character. But I would like to watch the love of the main characters. Rosiana began to cough. Kadim approached her from behind and asked if she was okay. The guy asked if she liked flowers. Rosiana replied that very much because they are very beautiful. Besides, Kadim is also a little different from the original, and she herself is not obsessed with him as in the book. However, their connection was not interrupted. He was not forced to become her knight. However, he still stays by her side and protects her. She doesn't know what's on his mind. But he dreams if he falls in love with Belle, with all his heart, while she is at the academy, she will keep him as long as she can. She hopes that this time he will be happy. Rosianna asked if they were going to the next lesson together. The lecture is optional, but I was glad when I found out that the knights were also going. Kadim stood up sharply and touched her forehead. It looks like she has a fever. She needs to go to the medical center. Rosianna thanked him for his concern. Jerta said that they had a nice walk, and it was time for him to go to the lecture. Belle asked if he took lessons separately from them. Jerta confirmed this, but he would like to listen to the next lecture together. Suddenly someone started shouting for help because he has to support his family. Let him go. For the last time, the attacker said that he had no other choice. The attacker asked to whom he owed the fact that he returned alive after the battle with the demon. Is he so grateful to fate? He survived because of him. And if he has already decided to become a spy, then let him bear responsibility for it. The man wearily denied that he was only a burden to Her Majesty. He had tried so many times, Fool said the attacker with satisfaction, and added that he knew that he sold the information to cover gaming debts, a complete disappointment. The victim begged for forgiveness from the second prince. The company of the main characters approached them. Hélas, Rosianna thought, and was surprised. What is he doing here? Is the monster hunt over yet? The blonde explained that he did not try to finish him off. He even left him alive after learning about the betrayal. The girl was surprised and delighted at his words. It deserves praise. He does not bear evil like the Imperial family. Why so suddenly? Rosianna thought, and answered that it was wonderful. Halaus suddenly hugged the girl. Long time no see, Rosianna, Blancourt. The prince spoke warmly and added that she had no idea how much he wanted to meet her. To put it mildly, the girl was in complete shock like everyone else. Since she got here, there have been quite a few differences with the plot. Jerta and Helias gave her a headache. They saw each other at the banquet only once. Why suddenly? Then the prince added that her gift was useful. It's about that eyesore artifact. So why did he finish hunting monsters so early? If he was useful, then his mother is still alive. From that day to this moment, my heart has longed for this hug, Helias said, sweetly and sincerely. Then, the prince apologized for coming unannounced. He would like to stay longer, but he has things to do. He said that he would return very soon and asked her to wait for him. How can Helias say such things without a drop of shame? Maybe I misunderstood something. All the main characters gathered at the academy. Fortunately, he didn't get here right away. Okay? Everything later. You have to prepare for exams. They start in 2 days. The faculties of magic and swordsmanship have 70% practice and 30% theory. According to the plot, Rosianna showed her talent on the very first test. She has to study to get into the student community next semester. The girl must show a good result. Everything is fine with the written test, but the practical one, she will need a lot of mana. Thanks to training with the teacher, she is better, but she fell asleep. Suddenly someone entered the library. The girl had already woken up in Kadim's arms, on the street. He asked if everything was okay. Rosianna asked if he could let her go. Why are you here, Movila? And the guy replied that she still needed to go to the first aid station. He was worried about her. By the way, that fair-haired man, he began and stopped short, and added that he had taken her medicine at the medical center and asked her to drink it. Rosianna thanked her sincerely and asked how he knew she was in the library. Kadim explained that when she is restless, she looks for a place where she can read books. Rosianna noticed that he knew her better than she knew herself. Kadim smiled and replied that she should take a pill and rest, and there is no need to work out until late. The girl explained that she would be happy, but the exams will be very soon. The guy touched her forehead again and said that she had worked so hard. Knowing her, she would be able to do everything. The temperature is rising. He added. Rosianna replied that she would return and rest. The girl thanked him. As Kadim said, she passed the written part without problems. The girl started coughing. Belle asked if she was okay. Rosianna replied that it was good, and there was no need to worry. Why did she get worse so suddenly? First exams for freshmen. Test of magic, attack, defense. Time limit, 30 hours. The countdown starts from the moment when the student comes to the task. Location, forest zone. A mission. 3 in total. Obtained after the student begins to complete. Alchemy support, time limit, 100 minutes. The countdown starts from the moment the student begins the exam. Mission, 1 random question out of 20, comes across place, individual premises, prohibited, reference books, etc. Fencing attack, time limit, 30 hours. The countdown starts from the moment the student comes to the exam. Mission, get the core of monster AF rank. Location, forest zone. B, forbidden, nothing. Rosianna is in her exam. She is getting worse and worse. Suddenly, Jerta came up to her and said if she could rely on him, he is participating in this for the first time, so he is a little absent-minded. The girl refused because she has to do it herself. Rosianna was adamant that he was taking alchemy, and she was taking attack magic. Oh, did you know? He snapped and added that he did not want to go to the forest, but he was offended by the fact that she refused the offer. It's a shame, but she doesn't care. How cruel, said Jerta. Jerta took her hand, and when he saw Kadam nearby, he kissed her. The redhead was not jokingly angry at his gesture. Rosianna asked if he wanted to say anything else. The guy replied that there was nothing and wished her to pass the exam with flying colors. The redhead sat down next to her and asked how she was feeling. Rosianna replied that it was better. Suddenly Kadim put his head to her forehead and said that she was still hot, and it seemed that the heat was only getting worse. When she is sick, she becomes defenseless. It should rain in the afternoon, which will worsen the situation. Exam, Rosianna. Blancourt is next. The girl entered the forest like a fog. In addition, she has already seen this tree and these stones flowers. This feeling seems to go around in circles. There is no need to panic. Everything is thought out in advance. The maze is the first stage. It is aimed at tiring out the students. Too much fog, she can't use. Magic, thus, not wasting mana. Unfortunately, it won't disappear until the test is over. If it stays here for a long time, it will fail. According to the plot, it was possible to find the end of the labyrinth if you go straight or not. This is not even a complete test. You have to be careful. By the way, she is really lonely. That sound, is someone crying? Is it a ghost? Let it only be a person, the girl thought, and went to where he was coming from. It was a young boy with blonde hair, holding his hands, as if he were praying. He shouted and ran when he saw a girl in front of him. She asked if he was okay. Man? He asked. Rosianna helped him go. The guy thanked her and said that now it's all right. He was already walking in circles and thought that he was being chased by a ghost. And then a fog appeared, and then he completely panicked. After talking to her, he felt better. The guy asked if he would fail the exam because of him. The girl assured him that he should not worry about it. Suddenly they saw a light radiating through the forest. This is the way out. Finally got out of here. The magic crystal congratulated them on passing the maze and let them move on to the first task. Crystal explained that you have to carve your name on a tree using magic, a task that evaluates mana management. Use as much force as you think is reasonable. You get 100 points for successfully completing the test. The assessment depends on the quality of the inscription. At first glance, Rosianna's task seems easy, but it is not. The students lost a lot of mana due to the fog, and some were able to use several spells due to panic. For example, like him, who had already begun to cast a spell over the pillar. Energy control is a difficult task. Can you make the inscription higher than others? She didn't waste mana, so it won't be difficult. With a wand, it will be easier to gather energy and easier to use it. The girl carved her name, Rosianna, done. The guy was surprised by her work. He thanked her again for her help. The guy asked her to give his hand. Rosianna was surprised at this request, but granted it. He took it and closed his eyes. The girl touched her head and realized that the pain had subsided. He then fell to the ground. The boy explained that he was not, but he was glad that he could help her because the girl was not well at all. Healing is a basic skill of magicians with the power of light. Rosianna said her headache was making it difficult for her to concentrate, and she thanked him profusely. He said that it is necessary to go to the next stage. The second stage, you have to choose one of two ways. The loop task. The first path is the solution to the riddle. The second leads to another fork. The portal in the middle is a return to the very beginning. You need to choose carefully because you don't want to start all over again. She needs to focus. Rosianna entered one tunnel. There was a rock next to her. A crystal appeared again next to her. Congratulations on completing the loop task. Counting points. Next mission. Open the door and enter conditions. Use a wand, no more than 3 spells. Rosianna walked in and saw something unexpected. A yard in which people lay unconscious on the ground. Sleep. Fae are short and beautiful creatures, but if you disturb their sleep, they use powerful wind magic. The attacked enemy immediately falls asleep. Well, Rosianna in the novel coped with this task quite easily. She also has strong magic. According to the plot, she simply put force on the monster, but now she does not feel well. You can't go wrong with the choice. First spell transformation. Magic, 2 to go. She turned into a plant in this situation. Such a power is effective and will simply outwit the fairy. Rosianna began to approach her. Suddenly, the monster opened its eyes and woke up. The fairy looked around. Not seeing anyone, went back to sleep. It was close, but she was lucky. The girl continued to move towards her. To get out, she needs a key. An ornament from her hair. Rosianna turned into a human and began to take. Suddenly the monster woke up again. However, the fairy did not see anyone and fell asleep again. Rosianna used a second spell, invisibility, which required much more power. If she used it right away, she wouldn't be able to use spells for a while, and now, just run away. Suddenly, a fairy appeared from behind her and said that she was disturbing her sleep. The girl was very frightened by her unexpected appearance. The monster used her air power. Rosianna covered herself with a magical shield, and now she has 0 spells on her account. But she managed to open the door with the key and get out. I wonder what score he will get for this. It started to rain. Kadim told her about it, but she did not think that it would rain so hard. The crystal appeared again and congratulated her on her task. Time for the third task. You need to take a fragment of a magic stone. Later you will get to the forest, where there will be more of them. Rosianna finished 2 tasks. This will be enough to join the student community. You need to go back and rest. These magical stones have a special power. Now Kadam is not around, as in the original. Maybe she will need them in the future. Finding stones with the same power sounds easy, but is actually very difficult. A difficult task that requires a lot of concentration. Jirta must have handled it very quickly. She feels a huge amount of mana. It is not easy to find similar ones. Suddenly, Rosianna sensed something on the other side and headed there. She was crossing the bridge, almost right on target. Suddenly it began to fall off. The girl caught her hand on the rock. The problem, she already has a hard time controlling her mana. What to do? Rosianna. Suddenly Kadim's cry was heard, and he ran to help her. The girl began to disconnect from reality. Little Rosianna was asked to greet him. He would be her protector. The Marquis said that he would not harm her. Let her not be afraid. Schwarlin noticed that he finally calmed down. Did he recognize the hosts? He must be scared. The little girl often came to him to bring, but he did not take anything. However, one day he still ate, which made Rosianna very happy. The girl said that it would be good if he was released. Another time he refused food and shouted at her not to touch him. The Marquis was outraged by this situation and went to order the boy. Her meeting with him happened spontaneously. She decided immediately that she would give him the right to choose whether to leave or stay with her. He must choose his own path. And when the time came, she somehow had to let him go. How did it all come to this? If reincarnation really exists, can we not meet in the next life, Kadim? Rosiana spoke in the past tense. In the end, she said what she had to, but in the end, Rosiana snapped back to reality. Kadim held her close to him. He was without an outer garment, because he gave it to her, because she was wet. He lit a fire and asked her if she remembers what happened. She explained that the bridge broke. There was almost no mana. He appeared and saved her. Kadim noticed that he was telling her not to overwork herself. The girl sincerely apologized. The boy said that everything was fine, and added that this cave seemed to restore mana. Swordsmen have no restrictions on energy, but here the strength seems to be added. Kadim gave her chuchura grass, because it is a very good medicine. The girl was clearly dissatisfied with this. Rosiana asked why he was sitting without outerwear. The guy apologized and explained that her jacket got wet and he gave her his, but he changed it with his eyes closed. Kadim put her head on his own, explaining that he would be able to warm her better. "Do you like being a girl?" Rosiana asked, but he himself did not think about it in this way. He must have been passing the assignment too, so why did he come here? It's raining so hard there. How did you find her? I wanted to ask so many questions. Rosiana asked him if he knew the one who looked like a knight from fairy tales. After all, as soon as he gets into trouble, he is here as here, follows her like a guardian angel. It's so comforting. She thanked him sincerely. From their first meeting, he clearly understood her feelings. And when I saw her again, I realized that everything is like that until this very day. Rosiana was lying in the infirmary. Joshua was indignant that how could she go to the exams sick? If Kadim wasn't around, what would happen then? She has a severe fever and slept for 2 days. Joshua calmed down. Rahel spoke and added that she had only recently woken up and the notes would wait. The older brother added that she certainly had reasons, but she should be more concerned about her health. Belle asked her not to overwork herself, because on the first day of their acquaintance, she lost consciousness. Then she was so worried Rosiana asked her not to cry, because she was fine. Freya asked her to promise to watch over her. The girl promised. Joshua said that now he would keep his promise, because there are still witnesses of this. The brother asked why she is so upset. Is it for the sake of grades? She is already the best on the entire course. Truth? Joshua confirmed this. Am I the best? Rosiana couldn't believe it because it was an accident. She even thought that she would get screwed for the fact that Kadim intervened. Fortunately, she found the right stone in that cave. Where does this strange feeling come from? She feels a strong aura from that side. It was that stone. According to the plot, Rosiana also found it before the very end of the test, and then received it as a gift. Would she like to know earlier what treasure the deputy director of the academy told her about? Good luck getting it. Kadim brought her out of her thoughts and informed her that it was necessary to prepare for departure to the Blancer estate. The first vacation has begun. They went with suitcases. Joshua asked why Kadim was going with them. He answered that he was worried about getting sick again. Rosiana asked if it was okay to take a friend without telling the Duke. Rachel replied that everything is fine, because he is the one who saved her. Her father should only be happy. Well then, the cartel approached them. Long time no see, Duke. Rosiana said that she did not think that the gentleman would meet her in person. The cartel replied that they only talked in writing, but it was much more pleasant to have a live conversation. What is life like in the academy? He asked. Joshua shouted that she was overtired as usual. The father replied that Rachel had already told him about the serious incident at the exam. Rosiana countered that he wasn't that bad, and if she was in a normal state, everything would be fine. Herzog said he plans to apply to the academy for the broken bridge. The Duke was very worried about her and asked if there were any injuries. I also mentioned Kadim. Don't be shy to ask for an award for him, because one thank you is not enough. Apparently she only worried about it in vain and thanked the cartel. The Duke said that they had seen each other for a long time, but had not spoken at all. Soon they will return to the estate. They will have a talk when she is properly rested. The whole family was sitting at the table. Father asked if everyone had rested, because he wants to listen to stories. Rosianna replied that she had to tell him what she had promised to find out. But first, she asked Joshua to leave for a while. He did not like it and was embarrassed. Rosianna explained to him that it was about the teacher who bullied him. "That's the thing, I'm not the same anymore," said Joshua. "He has a father, he can rely on a woman who can give him advice, and a brother who will get him out of some trouble. He didn't know how to behave then, but that's all in the past." Rahel said that they should stop, and he would just say, "Thank you, brother." Joshua was indignant. Joshua's first mentor was a viscount under the control of the empress. She told everything she learned about her clan. Joshua and Rachel were surprised and angry, but the Duke probably already guessed about it. The girl added that she is sure that the owner is behind all this. Rosianna explained that she could not understand her intentions, and therefore did not speak about it. The cartel replied that everything is in order, because dealing with the secrets of the imperial family is difficult. He thanked her for what she told. Herzog said that he also wanted to tell something about her. The Empress always showed a strange attitude towards the Blancourt family. Perhaps because of this, she tormented Joshua. Rosianna said that she thought the spell was related to the mistress. Usually they are imposed with the help of black magic or sorcery. Marquis Schwarlin studied it, but never got to the source of the curse. Only the Empress's clan possesses such power, there can be no doubt. The girl asked the Duke to report Hestana's condition. Memoirs. "Don't look like that, it hurts my heart," said the lady holding Cartel's cheek. "Why don't you go?" The man replied that it was time, but he did not want to leave. How can he leave her alone? The woman said that she will be sad. Then if he stays there, will be many victims from the monsters. But she was pregnant, and added that she and the child would be sad. Cartel asked if she was afraid to be alone. The woman replied that she was more worried about not being able to cover his back, and that she herself would stay in Hamel. After some time, the Duke returned to Hamel and saw a terrible picture. All the furniture was in ruins, and his beloved Hestana was sealed in a crystal. He touched her and felt a dark aura. Nothing will change until the curse is lifted. The Duke felt uneasy after such conversations. The girl thought that the dark aura and the disappearing mana and Hamel, because it is a place with a very strong energy that has the characteristic of cleansing. If the evil eagle did not disappear sooner or later, the duchy would be filled with filth. If you try to unravel the tangle, you can find a solution to both the curse and the pollution. Rosianna asked the Duke if he would allow her to visit Hamel. Kadam came to her room. The girl invited him to enter. They sat at the table and drank tea. The guy noted that before letting someone in, you have to ask who is there. Rosianna replied that she knew it would be him. Her answer did not satisfy him. The guy said that he wanted to talk about something. Rosianna took out the dark blue box that contained the stone from the exam. The girl explained that she could not understand which type. She asked to hand it over to the master. Kadam agreed and added that it would be better if she did it herself, because in every letter she mentioned that she wanted to meet him. Rosianna asked to convey what will come next time. She will most likely go to Hamel tomorrow. She needs to check something. The forest of Hamel is connected with the forest of the night. That is why she asked him to take this stone and asked for forgiveness for stressing the work. Kadim replied that everything is fine and he will send him. But before that, he asked Rosianna not to overwork. Kadam added that he knows she will manage, but she must not forget about herself. Rosianna agreed with him and thanked him sincerely. This stone can loosen control. The original girl accidentally got his power. However, not understanding properly, she thought that he would completely save her from control, and regretted it. As long as Kadam and Schwarlin are alive, there is a possibility that they will be brainwashed, as in the original. Therefore, she will study the stone in its entirety. If she had not tried to break their bond, she would have stayed. The girl will try to protect him. Rosianna arrived by carriage to the Duchy of Hamel. where winter was currently underway. Cartel noticed that it would be better for her to dress more warmly because it is very cold here. A blond gentleman with a scar on his face approached him and said that they had not seen each other for a long time. His Raymond, the present Duke of these lands. Raymond said that it had been a long time since his last visit. He had to hurry. He asked how they got on. The cartel replied that they had a good rest on the way. What? Monsters appeared one after another all the time. A snowstorm that interfered. Raymond welcomed them to the Duchy of Hamel, let them feel at home. In the second half of the novel, it was here that Joshua sent his father to the other world, and Rachel sent her younger brother to the other world. At the same time, a holy relic falls into his hands, and the end of the world comes. However, due to the fact that the novel tells more about the main character Belle, it is impossible to know what exactly happened then. Therefore, it is better to find out this first. Someone knocked on the girl's room. "Who is there?" she asked. The brothers came to her and answered that it was them. The young man noticed that her face showed that she was worried. Rosianna denied it, while Rachel tried to calm Joshua down. Joshua said that she does not have to carry this burden alone. Because they are a family, she can ask for help at any time. Rahel added that Hamel is a peaceful place. She will definitely like it here. We need to go for a walk. They are on vacation. They walked around the incredibly beautiful city and visited various shops. When they got to the jewelry store, the younger one decided to give his sister a very nice hairpin. Rosianna thanked him sincerely and said that she liked him very much. Rosianna also had a present for him, a double earring with a cross and a red stone. This is a protective amulet. Joshua happily put it on his ear and asked how it looked. The girl replied that it was very cool. The brother pointed to another place and said that they sell big dolls there. Joshua asked to wait for him. The older man approached the girl and said that he had seen his brother go somewhere. He gave her a hot drink so that she could warm up. Rosianna thanked him. The boy asked if her mood had improved. The sister said yes, thanks to the two of them. Rachel smiled and replied that he was glad to hear that. He added that after that incident with his brother, his father told him that they were investigating the case with the Empress, but he himself could not find anything useful. That's how it is answered. The girl anxiously. Rahel explained that he was not trying to reveal her source of information, but was simply worried about her. The more difficult the access to information, the more expensive its price. The elder admitted that he watched her, but all of them, he, Joshua the father, know that she is a good person. Therefore, they want to somehow lighten her burden. Am I good? Maybe they are very wrong. She always tried to avoid the worst. What in the past life? What is now? Maybe she was selfish, but she just wanted to survive. She's just lucky she knows the plot. The cause of the end of the world was the curse of the main characters. She tries to avoid it, but bright intentions do not make her confident in her choice. However, because of her intervention, the Blancourt family was able to avoid a great tragedy. The girl still does not know whether she made the right choice, so she cannot be called a good person. However, she hopes that people who know her, think well of her, will be happy in the future. That is why he wants to try even harder. Rosianna thanked her brother for the kind words. They mean a lot to her. Come to think of it, she called Joshua. Her brother Rosianna replied that he liked being called that. Suddenly, Rachel asked her to call him that too, and then felt embarrassed about it. The girl was very surprised at his request. Exactly. The girl forgot to hand him something. "Thank you for today, brother," Rosianna said warmly, and handed him the craft package. Rachel was very surprised by her action. The girl wants to read a book before going to bed. Rachel had given her the key to the library so that she could start investigating in the morning, but she needed it now. Hamel, that's it. She chose a book and was walking down the corridor, but suddenly something pushed her to the floor. Dogs with crystals on their foreheads and black eyes with blue corneas pounced on her. Raymond approached her and said that he was sorry it was quite late, and she was probably in the library. Rosianna confirmed that she wanted to read Hamel's story. Herzog suggested a walk, and she agreed. The dogs followed the girl and Raymond, meanwhile, asked if she was frozen. Rosianna said no, and everything was fine. It is an eternal winter in Hamel. It is very cold here, but surprisingly the flowers wither. The dog gave her a blue flower. Is it me? Milo asked, and happily took the gift. The gentleman asked if he was not afraid of them, although they seem beautiful, but in reality they are monsters. Rosianna explained that she was shocked at first, but now they seem quite cute. Lou, monsters, are sensitive and cautious, prefer solitude. These dogs are wary of people because they suffered from them in childhood. They didn't treat her that way, except for her, Hestani. Unbelievable thought, Raymond. He asked if she had read the book. Rosianna explained that she was coming back to her, but she couldn't finish reading. The key to the duchy's library is passed down from generation to generation, and the king still has one, but it has been filled for many years. Rare books are collected there. Really? The girl was surprised because before that, she did not know that the library was so valuable. Raymond explained that currently the key belongs to Rachel, which means that he trusts her, and so does he. Why is it now at my brother's? She asked. Raymond explained that if something happens to the Duke, then all rights are transferred to the heir. Such are the laws of Hummel. Rosianna asked if he was unwell. The gentleman replied that he simply felt that he did not deserve this title. It was like that from the beginning. The owner, having truly loved Hamel, has been sleeping deeply for a long time. Hestana, who is dressed in white clothes, the eldest daughter of his brother, the Grand Duke of these lands. His student who asked to take this title is his mistress. His older brother, Rudrick Claudius, saw only her son, and she did not avoid the opportunity to show herself so that her father would love her as much. One day she asked him to become her teacher because he is one of the best sword masters in history. At least, even though he and his father are twins, he is much stronger than him. Raymond explained that these are all rumors people like to exaggerate. Little Hestana asked for his help because this is how she should become strong and get recognition. If he agrees, then she will do everything in her power. The current Raymond explained that when she was cursed, her husband, the Duke of Blancourt, asked him to stand guard over Hamel. He locked the gates of the duchy and made sure that rumors of his wife's death did not spread beyond their borders. When he sent him a letter saying that he wanted to visit Hamel with his adopted daughter, he realized that the master had found a way to break the curse, help her in everything. Raymond asked if he knew him. Rosianna replied that she did, but it was just a guess. She would try to destroy it. The man thanked her and added that he would tell everything he knew. Even if the probability of success is small, let him save her. Rahel informed about this and asked if she was able to sleep. Rosianna lied that she did, but in fact, she had been studying books all night, so she couldn't sleep properly. By the way, the Duke has not been seen since the other day. She and her brothers were sitting at a large table. Joshua asked if he needed more books. The girl firmly replied that there would be plenty of them, and opened the first one in line. Hamel is a land of eternal ice from the beginning. It belonged to the Imperial family, which could not set foot on this territory until a noble mage appeared. He became the master and brought blessings to this place. Rosianna asked if they knew what the blessing was all about. Rachel asked if she had read it in a book because neither he nor his brother had ever heard of it. Maybe this is some kind of legend. You should ask your father. He probably has such information. The girl lay in her bed and thought surprisingly Rachel knew about him. According to the plot, he gave the relic to Belle and said it was the blessing of Hamel. But she does not know what it is. It is assumed that filth fell on these lands after the disappearance of the relic. Combining the stories of Duke Blancourt and Raymond Hestana's curse and blessing may be connected. Tomorrow you have to find the master and ask him about everything. Rosianna fell asleep and slept soundly until she suddenly awoke, and her bright purple eyes turned golden. Why did I get up? She thought, and looked at herself in the mirror. Some familiar aura is calling her. She feels it behind this wall. Suddenly she started to fall and hold her head. Something wrong with the resonance. She is on the edge. Her body is out of control. Her eyes began to turn back to a purple hue. Rosiana came to and asked herself why she was here. After all, she clearly remembers that she slept. A strange feeling as if someone was following her. That sound again. If he doesn't come in, he won't know what's there. But she went there. However, the legs seemed to disobey her. Who is this? The girl saw the figure of a man from behind Duke Movila, and the cartel panicked and was ready to attack the unexpected guest until he saw that it was Rosiana. The cartel asked if there was a door there. Which door did she enter? The passage leading here is a dummy. To open the rooms you need a special stone. Without it, it is impossible to do it. How did she get in here? Herzog told her that she could not lie, and added that he would find out about the incident with the door. Yes, this is the place where Hestana is sealed. That's where he was all the time. She feels dark magic emanating from the crystal, but at the same time, it is glowing with warmth and light. She needs a closer look. The girl asked for permission to use the magic of finding and received a positive answer. She touched the crystal. Rosiana, go away. Suddenly he shouted, because too bright light began to be emitted. In one moment they were surrounded by a white light. What is this place? A dark room. All the furniture is broken. Servants are lying everywhere. Black magic is blowing. Mr. Raymond is also on the floor. Memories of their recent conversation. Raymond replied that at that moment, dark magic was blowing from one of the maids when she entered. There was nothing he could do. Everyone in the castle lost consciousness in 1 second. He was too weak to realize anything. Before drifting off to sleep, he saw how dark magic seemed to absorb the landlady's child. Did magic recreate the day of Hestana's curse? The spell is spreading. Black magic has already covered the entire area. Hestana, I am very sorry. I see everything through your eyes. Because of you, they want to defile everything around. Make a choice. I cannot cleanse you with my power, but the curse can be lifted. If it gets out, said a real woman. We can seal it, then the spread will slow down. If so, I am ready to sacrifice myself. Hestana asked Lara to save her child the castle and destroy her herself. If she disappears, the curse will go with her. Little Lara stood and cried. Hestana asked her if she remembers her request to become a friend. It was just a joke, but she's glad they met. Her soul remains the same. As always, she tries to protect everyone, but also considers their friendship invaluable. A huge prosaic bluebird appeared in front of her and asked to be allowed to tell about one way. Her fate depends on her choice. There are 1,000 roads leading to the future. However, even choosing one of them, it is impossible to know what will happen as a result. But he wants to offer her a way, but he cannot say what the final will be. Shall we try Hestana? The woman asked Lara to tell her everything. The bird said that someone like her does not interfere in people's lives. The moment we try to change someone's destiny, the scales will tip one way, but even so, someone always climbs into their stories. Fortunately, this time she has an excuse. I am Lara, the divine dragon of the air, and as a beholder, I saw the fate of this child. She should become a savior, a light that will save peace from destruction. Hestana, the curse placed on you is tied to dark magic, and the power of the air dragon just carries purification. But I lost my shell and can't use it. Many years ago, she managed to create a vessel with the help of sacred relics. However, it takes hundreds of years to hatch. But the source of the curse will destroy not only her and Hamel, but also the whole world. However, there is one way to buy time for her child. Lara will send her to a remote place to live as fate would have it. She will be separated from her family, but she will be able to stop the curse. She promises her child will be safe. Lara seals the curse with her. Do you agree, Hestana? She asked. Yes, do it, Lara. The woman spoke through tears. Hestana told her child that she was very sorry that she would grow up without her love. I am sorry to leave you, Rosiana, my beloved daughter, the lady finally said, and added that she has not yet told anyone what she wants to call you. What? Child of Hestana, it was a magical record of my promise. You went through the fate given to you. My choice made you feel a lot of suffering. I'm sorry, Rosianna. I want to ask you something. The air dragon spoke. Lara asked how she heard that she created a new vessel for her birth, but it took a long time to hatch. But she observed all her obstacles. The child has a power that can speed up the process. Lara clearly sees her potential, but can't tell her much. The seal holding back Hestana's curse is weakening before her power fades. She must be helped back into this world. The girl will agree, but even after saving Hestana, she asked to lend her strength. Lara agreed, because she is sure that she will manage. Child of Hestana, beautiful soul, I give you a promise. I entrust my vessel into your hands and give you my power. Lara spoke. The girl was sitting on her bed, a dragon egg, an unexpected surprise. If she can handle this power, she can change everything. And a blue mark appeared on her hand, especially the memories of that night. Rosianna returned from the magical recording. Cartel said that he thought that the time Hestan's handmaiden dissolved into ashes, so did the child. He also saw everything. The Duke hugged her as tightly as he could. The girl is confused. For Rosianna to be the daughter of Duke Cartel and Hestana is simply impossible. When he hugged her, she realized that the man was exactly the family she was missing. What the real Rosianna wanted. A family that would love her with all their heart. The reality is that she was able to change the plot only because she knows what a reckless choice the girl made in the original. And what a logical end to this story. Like a thorn in the neck. That's not what he's thinking about. She became Rosianna against her will. It's time to contact Kadim. Suddenly, Tanya came to her and brought her a letter with a gift. The girl took him in her hands. What, Freya? They were traveling in a carriage. The girl said that she could go alone. Joshua replied that they still had to go on business, and he asked if she would stay the night. She explained that on the first day, Duke Freya fell ill, and she herself, Mrs. Bell. Rachel said that they would finish their business tomorrow, and after dinner, they could stop by Freya's estate to meet her. Thank you, brother, said the girl, but in fact, she knows that they have no business. When they found out that Rosianna was actually the youngest daughter of the Duke of Blancourt, she fainted again. Joshua was very happy that she was his real sister after all. She said since childhood that she would leave home as soon as she became an adult, but they had no right to go against her before. Joshua said Rosianna still said she was going somewhere. But now they have a reason to stop her. They cannot calm down from this news, and she herself is probably in shock when she wakes up. It is necessary to pretend that everything is as usual. However, the girl heard everything because she was already awake. They arrived at the estate. Joshua asked if that young duke with an evil look lived here. Rosianna thanked them for taking her. She saw a familiar black cat in the yard, but could not understand where she had seen it before. Belle met her and asked if she was too late. Rosianna denied this and added that she had just arrived here. The lady said that she was very glad because her friend came to them. The main character's smile is really striking. The girls drank tea with sweets. The lady even made her a whole cake with strawberries. Belle thanked her for coming to them and added that she always only accepted her help a few years ago. She got hurt protecting herself, and before the holidays, she lost consciousness and woke up with difficulty. She herself soon went home, and without really saying goodbye to her, Rosianna denied that she lived in the estate for a whole week and took care of her. The girl added that she is now eating a cake that she made and feels quite happy she fed her sweets so that she would believe her. Rosianna asked how Roxanne was feeling. Belle replied that she hadn't seen her brother since the holidays started. However, if you believe the Duke's words, then he is already much better. It was Mr. who insisted that she invite her. Rosianna was surprised at what she heard. When his brother is sick, he takes care of him himself. They hardly ever leave the room. That's why they haven't been seen yet. Belle informed them that the Duke had invited them to dinner tomorrow, so they would all be together. Roseanne was reading a book, and Belle fell asleep on her shoulder. The girl carefully transferred her to the bed. She also wants to sleep, but because of the fact that she ate sweets all day, her stomach feels heavy. When it becomes easier, it will also go away. Walking around the estate, the girl just now noticed that during the day, it is as quiet here as at night. Not even a servant is visible. They are not at all like ordinary aristocrats. Why did the Duke adopt Belle? She was an ordinary girl from a peasant shelter, but she did not look after the young Duke and did not become his daughter-in-law. Did he somehow find out that she would become a saint? Nonsense, it can't be like that. In addition, the reason for the disappearance of the family will be a change. The girl suddenly had a very bad headache, and memories of the night when she found out about Roxion came flooding back. Suddenly, Roxion appeared behind her and grabbed her pan, hit him on the head, and he fell to the floor. The man said that he could not be left for even a moment. He introduced himself as Duke Freya. The Duke apologized and said that he would have to erase her memory. Unexpectedly, Rosianna remembered the night she found out that Roxion was a werewolf. The man was very surprised by this, because this clearly should not have happened. They were sitting at the table. Who would have thought that she would remember everything? It's incredible. The Duke hopes that she will feel better after the tea, but the girl has not even touched the cup. Pan noticed that he liked her alertness. Judging by everything, the gentleman did not try to harm her. The girl asked if their family was related to werewolves. The Duke answered that both yes and no. Roxion himself is only half monster, but they can't share secrets with just anyone, because she encountered a secret several times and solved it. It is the will of fate, no other way. Rosianna asked if the fact that he adopted Belle was also a coincidence. Were there any reasons? Herzog asked why she was interested in this question. The girl explained that he and Roxion are related to werewolves, and Belle is a human. In their country, everyone associated with them is at risk. Then why, realizing the danger, did he accept an ordinary person into his family? Of course, he also takes care of Belle. He has only one request to her. If he fulfills it, he will answer the question. Raphael. Roxion entered the room with a shout, asked why the girl was with him. The Duke said that the person with whom his request is related is also here. Time to go for a walk. Roxion asked to say what he was up to and why he didn't erase her memory. Why does he remember past events? I hear everything, the girl remarked. They approached the tower, because of which the boy was very angry. He took her hand and wanted to lead her back. Suddenly, the Duke put the boy in chains with magic and ordered him to stand where he was. They went down to the basement of the tower. There is some evil aura here. The lower it is, the harder it is to breathe. Should I go further? The man said that she can leave if she wants. However, if you go with him and fulfill the request, then he will not only tell about the reason for adopting Belle, but also something else important. What will you choose? I will go with you, Rosianna said firmly. This place. There was a door in the middle that radiated an even more malevolent aura. Suddenly, the boy's shackles began to break. His wings began to appear, and black mist oozed out. This energy is about to absorb him. A little more, his body will dissolve in it. What does he mean? The guy started screaming because of it. Why not help him? This is his son. The girl started to get angry. The Duke asked if she wanted to help Roxion. Rosianna replied that of course he was in pain. However, why does this bother her? Because werewolves are the spawn of evil. Wouldn't it be better for humanity if there was one less? He asked why she wanted to help him. The girl shouted that it doesn't matter, get out of the way. What difference does it make if it's a human or a werewolf? If he suffers like this, his life is no less valuable because of it. She has to help. Wait, Mr. asked. The girl covered herself with a magical shield, but it seemed to be blown away by the wind. How to help him? The girl began to remember the last time in the library and asked the boy to taste her blood. Roxion did so and asked for more, but she asked him to stop. Roxion pulled away from her and came back to reality and apologized for it. The girl said that there was nothing wrong and asked how he was feeling now. Assignment was successful. Roxion get magical powers. The girl asked, confused. The man said that he was half human and half werewolf. An ordinary human body cannot absorb so much mana, so that everything does not reach a fatal outcome. He must be given blood. Judging by everything after that time, Roxanne is obsessed with her blood. This means that now only she can calm him down. So that's why the Duke invited the girl. There was no need to expose her to such danger. The boy was indignant. The man said that he was very worried about the werewolves, although everyone around them hates them. Child, why are you not afraid of people like us? Why did she go to Roxanne in the center of the storm without a doubt? Raphael asked firmly. The girl said that first he should give an answer. Help Roxanne was his request, right? Then let him tell why he adopted Belle. Pan denied that his real request was something else he wants. The girl was already saying goodbye to her friend and was driving back. Roxanne asked the master if he told her too much. Maybe she has ulterior motives. The Duke noticed that he had been so worried about her yesterday. The boy replied that it was because the man had put her in danger. Raphael noticed that the memory erasure magic no longer worked on the girl. The truth spell didn't work either. She is a very unusual woman. So long as you keep her close and look after her, a meeting with her is fate. The girl was lying in her room. She is very tired. She cannot believe that her guesses have been confirmed. The Duke knew at first that Belle was to become a saint. That door opens a portal to another world. The mana emanating from it has a calming effect on magical persons. However, Roxanne is half human and half werewolf, so it's like poison to him. Magical persons are people whose souls were originally cursed. The boy is fine now, but he will start to transform again. The Duke said that his request was that she accept Roxanne's obsession. The girl asked if this is the only way to stop him. The gentleman replied that unfortunately yes, demons are born with dirty mana. In other words, their very soul is damned. Raphael asked if she knew what dirty mana was. It destroys the carrier. They are said to be consumed by the desire to destroy everything in their path. The world of demons is a world in which there is neither life nor death. If you can control this mana, it will easily absorb him. Those who manage to escape will either die before losing their minds completely, or live among humans as soul-stealing parasites. Moreover, there is a gate leading to the world of demons. Rosiana asked how he was able to hide the fact that he was a demon and live off the title of Duke. He was just lucky Earths are close to the world of demons. The reason why Freya was given the title of Duke was that there were many people born with divine characteristics in this land. They played the role of sentinels choosing danger. After the death of the past Duke, who was called the Holy Knight, he was never in public. Then no one would have thought that the Lord of these lands is a demon. Raphael said that there is only one reason why he is still here. He wants to break the chains of curses. This means that the prophecy will come true. He embedded his consciousness in this black cat and therefore cannot leave these lands. Unlike him, Roxanne is half human and therefore can go whenever and wherever he wants. He saw the prophecy. It said the following: on the 5th year after stepping on human lands, go to the Golden Village. The child you meet in front of the old vine will one day awaken divine power. When one who was half demon gains power, let the hated be saved. His task is to protect Roxanne, and he will need to protect and learn with his divine power. So did I answer your question? Slyly spoke Mr. The first god was Ramir, and Belle possessed the power. The Duke asked, how about having an imprint ceremony? He wouldn't dare steal her soul or defile it. Well, have you decided? He asked, and added that even a cat needs a promise. Roxanne apologized for him, although the cat looks insignificant, but helps to feel stable. The contract and the imprint of demons are different. Unlike the first, which required human souls and blood, and the second is completely different. It allows you to gain stability simply by being next to each other. The downside is that in order for him to approach humans, they need to be in contact with each other until Roxanne uses his demon powers. He thinks that holding hands will be enough. Nevertheless, she learned who Belle's ally was. She thinks she made the right choice by deciding to help. Suddenly, a blue transparent orb appeared near her and spoke her name, It. The brothers, Kadim and the Duke, were sitting in the anterooms. Joshua noticed that the red-haired man had a familiar physiognomy. Asil said that he knows everything. Although she wrote that she was fine, she put herself in danger. Rosianna began to get nervous because she knew she was going to be reprimanded. The wizard asked her to think about her health. The girl apologized for making him worry. She showed him the dragon egg. Asil said that many similar things had happened since the moment she sent Kadim to him. The girl asked if there was any way to speed up hatching. The master said he didn't know that, but he could tell that there was no need to give him more mana than he currently had. This is strictly prohibited. It's time to move on to the main thing, the magic stone she sent with Kadim. He asked if she received it as a reward. She confirmed it. The master made efforts to find out what it was. Truth? Does this mean that you still found out? Rosianna asked in surprise. Asil said that for starters, there is a place they must visit. They were walking through the forest, and the girl asked how much longer they had to go. Asil replied that he was already there. There was a big black hole around the trees. What is this evil aura? Magical creatures that turn into monsters get there. This rift creates disasters and monsters. The pollution reached such an extent that the surrounding plants withered. Suddenly a slug rushed at the master, who fought him off. He thought the only way to keep her was to watch her, but if he succeeds in unlocking the power of the stone, then he may be able to temporarily seal it. There is a special power hidden there. Now it's time to start the experiment. He asked her to pour some of his mana into the stone. After that, he turned white. The experiment seems to be successful. Suddenly Asil grew wings and became covered with a blue transparent aura. An angel, she thought. The master began to seal the black hole. The girl does not remember this in the original. The master felt sick after using such force. Rosianna asked what kind of power he used. It is an ancient magic that is not based on divine power. He was able to extract it from this stone. It cannot be sealed on objects. He had never seen anything like it, but from the looks of it, it was the very thing that belonged all the more to a girl. It is a valuable thing, so it should always be carried with you. Are they related? Maybe he really is an angel. An angel, perhaps similar to him. But I am an alien, said the gentleman. They are the first creation of Ram. Their peculiarity is that everyone is born with divine power. He was one of them until his power was sealed away. He asked if the girl had ever used magic stones. Rosianna replied that she tried, but did not feel much strength. He tried to use her before her, but it was all in vain. However, after she poured her mana, the stone reacts to her mana, which means it belongs to her. How could something like this be in the academy? And why did they decide to give it to her? At least, thanks to him, he was able to close the black hole, albeit temporarily. Joshua asked why this master is going with them. Is he going to be new to the academy? Rosianna explained that he would go as a new teacher. They must hurry to help Rachel. Rosianna said goodbye to the Duke and smiled sweetly at him. The cartel asked her to monitor her health. The girl agreed. Before Asil entered the portal, the master ordered him to take care of his children. The master promised that he would. The master introduced himself to the students. I am Processor Asil Lustafir. Now I will teach at the Faculty of Magic. Nice to meet you. The audience was very happy with his appearance in the academy, because he is the first lord of the Magic Tower. The second class, where an important announcement took place, the teacher informed them that they would be able to get assignments from A to F based on last semester's grades. Logiana, Blanchir, Belfreya, Kadim, Gartia, Roxion. They have the right to choose an S-class mission. The faces of the school together must fulfill one mission, namely, rank S. You need to read the list carefully. If there are questions, let them ask for help. Belle said she was a little nervous because she didn't know if she could handle it. Has her friend already chosen the task she wants to complete? Rosianna replied that it is normal to worry in such a situation. Such a mission can be dangerous. It feels as if someone is staring at her. The girl looked at her stalker and realized that it was Roxion, who was very embarrassed because Rosianna caught his eye. Why did he join the student community? According to the plot, he was a background character. Memories of their arrangement. Rosianna agreed to the ceremony. The Duke placed them in a magic seal. Roxion drew his blood because it was necessary for the ritual, but said that if she changed her mind, Raphael protested that it was too late to back down. Rosianna drank a drop of his blood. Roxion was embarrassed by this. Then he kissed her hand. The imprint ceremony was successful, most likely because of the ritual. The boy is no longer bothered by pain, and that is why he joined the community. Just thinking about that night makes me sick. Rosianna asked Kadam if he wanted to say something. He denied it. So easy. As a result, she chose a task related to the Magic Tower, opening of a magical festival. The event is held once every couple of years, when communication with the world is interrupted. Usually there are auctions of new artifacts, but he should buy it and show it. The nuance is that only magicians who have a certain level of mana can attend the festival. Moreover, the real reason she chose this task, there is one of the holy relics, Jirta, for help, but this led to her being imprisoned in a magical tower. And thanks to this, she found something, a secret treasury. According to the original, after the collapse of the magic tower, Jirta became its lord. She must receive the holy relic before him, before the building collapses. A miracle occurs when Belle goes in search of them. She has no choice but to act, albeit with a few trump cards up his sleeve. The first one is from Schwarlin. The second one was found by Rahel in Hamel. However, this time she will do it herself. What did you think about? Suddenly, Jirta appeared behind her. Jirta offered her to be paired with him on the task. Besides, isn't he the only academy student with the right amount of mana? Rosianna apologized and explained that this task is for community members only. This means that the ideal candidate, because he entered it, he said slyly. How to refuse him, regardless of who chose it. First, 2 students must complete it. Can Belle suggest, although it can be dangerous there? Suddenly, the girl saw a tired Asil and asked what he was doing there. The master was glad to meet him and asked him to go to another place because he was clearly wanted. Room of the admissions committee. It seems that popularity is not to his liking. How about using an invisibility spell? The girl suggested. Good idea. It didn't even occur to him. Asil had not been in such crowded places for a long time. As soon as the ceremony ended, a crowd of students poured in. Rosianna noticed that most of all they were students of the Faculty of Magic. Meeting such a great magician like him is a dream. Great? The gentleman asked, and explained that he was only fulfilling his role. He controls the Magic Tower. Rosianna asked to tell about her. Asil agreed, but added that he had not been there for many years. The girl noticed that it was probably because it was difficult to get there. The girl added that her first task was related to her. Asil asked if she wanted to say that the tower was closed. It's amazing. Status didn't matter. Before magicians shared their knowledge and experience there, it was possible to enter and exit calmly. What is happening there now? He can't just leave like that. He should probably go with her. Suddenly, Professor Ivan knocked on their door and asked if he would have a moment. He apologized for interrupting their conversation. He urgently needs to ask something. So what does the magic tower look like? Is it covered in gold? Jirta came up to her again from behind and asked, does she look like the Imperial court? Rosianna yelled at him and told him to stop appearing out of nowhere. Nothing, you'll get used to it. Satisfied with himself, he said, it's useless with him. Argue. As a result, her first task will be paired with Jirta. You can't do anything, even though she refused him more than once, but it's better than putting Belle in danger. Before that, the girl ordered him not to push Belle to this. After all, she doesn't have enough mana anyway. Jirta said that then they would be together. The tower opened recently, and he eagerly wants to go there. She feels as if she has been wrapped around her finger. Behind Goethe, the girl asked him who he was. He introduced himself as Noah. He is here as an assistant. That's how it is answered. Rosianna, and hopes that there will be no problems from this. It is better to explore the holy relics alone, because she will be able to do it thanks to the map that the master gave her. It would be wonderful if he were here with her. The professor who came to them then asked them to read his lecture, because both students and teachers want it. That's why Asil didn't go with her. Even so, the teacher cannot go to the task together with the student. It's against academy rules. The blonde grabbed his head. The girl asked if something was bothering him. He replied that it was just a headache. He would rest until the evening at his place. Rosianna asked him to rest properly. Great. She thought that he would follow her by the tail. The boys left. Noah asked if he was all right. Goethe replied that there is nothing wrong. He just doesn't feel well. Noah said that a lot of people gathered because of the festival, and he doesn't really like such places because he doesn't like to make contact. However, he got along well with Rosianna and entered the academy through her. Goethe replied that their client is a unique individual. Goethe explained that each person has one unique color of mana. However, she has two of them. Besides, he can't see anything. Also, she is clearly hiding something. But what about that tower? Why do you feel unpleasant energy? Goethe said that the more he looks at her, the worse he gets. He wants to rest. Noah can go. It seems that something evil is lurking there. The blonde fell asleep and had a terrible dream, as if with his other personality. Suddenly, Rosianna woke him up. The boy woke up in a cold sweat. The girl explained that he suddenly stopped breathing. The guy asked if she was also worried about him. She said that he scared her. Of course, she worried about him. He thought he was disgusting to her. What? She asked again. Goethe said that it was nothing, and that she looked beautiful. Rosianna said he had regained consciousness. Time flew by so fast. An unknown child stood among other people with a soft toy. She said that their plan was working, because many wizards had come. Rosianna was in the tower. It was too bright here. Everyone seemed to be shining. She feels different. Her expectations from the Festival of Wizards have been fulfilled. Someone said that it was all a lie. They were playing a show. Most decorated themselves with magic. Why do they do that? Goethe replied that it was probably to gain the attention of the owner of the magic tower. It's been a couple of years since it reopened. Goethe used magic to improve her dress. The girl was very surprised and asked what he did. The boy took her hand and kissed it. He wants to be the main character of this ball. Goethe asked for permission to invite her to dance and held out his hand to her. She agreed, and they began to dance. The unknown lady said that magic spread throughout the hall. Who is this wizard? No way. How could I tell him that she had to go find the relics? Suddenly, the boy bent her down, holding her by the waist. Goethe said that the dances were beautiful, and it was enough to think about other things. Let him concentrate on him. It's hard. I never thought I could master 3 dances in a row. She left the main hall to rest. Rosianna tried to walk around the tower before the ball started, but alas, there was not enough time. The map that the master gave, although it is old, but there are not many changes, it is better than nothing. The person who now has the relic is not fully aware of its power, but it should not be kept in plain sight. There are 2 locations on the map where there may be holy artifacts. The first is the office of the Lord of the Magic Tower. The second is the top floor. Asil warned that it should not be visited because there is a door in the center. This is the only part that was not touched during the repair, so that no one could enter there. He sealed it several times. It's almost impossible to open it, but if she does, there's a coffin in that room. Let him promise not to touch her. Asil hopes that it will not come in handy. He handed her a box, saying that it would help seal the door if it could be opened. The girl asked why he is so worried about it. Asil asked if he remembers the story with the wizard. He did a lot of things he shouldn't have done. His body is in that grave. Asil repeatedly checked the coffin for the presence of life force, but felt nothing. However, it is still dangerous to be there. His very presence makes Rosiani uneasy. If she could avoid Jurta, suddenly, they both disappeared somewhere. This is her chance. The same unknown child appeared and pushed her. The girl asked if he was in pain, but she apologized because she herself was guilty. "Does your leg hurt?" she asked, and apologized once again. She touched his shoulder, but he started shouting that he shouldn't touch him. Then he ran away with his soft toy. "The dress got wet. Are you okay?" Jurta asked with a smile. He added that the dress was more damaged than she herself. "This is good because there will be a chance to leave here to change clothes." The guy corrected the situation with magic, thereby destroying the girl's plan. The magic bell rang, and a voice was heard. "We welcome all you wizards. We hope you enjoyed the ball. The main event of the evening will begin very soon. Auction of artifacts. Please move around the map." The girl thought all of the items presented were originally on the tower's artifact list. Is that what she wants to show at the end? Finally, the last lot today. It is created by the Lord of the Mage Tower himself. Since this lot is special, the auction will also be unique. It will be conducted by the Lord of the Magic Tower himself. This is the same kid. Sand Times of Dreams. He can turn your dream into reality. Does this even exist? The kid said that no one seems to believe it. Since it is a valuable item, he only gives it to a wizard who can possess it. Its conditions are simple, aren't they? He asked to place his mana in the crystal layer. Depending on the power of mana, the layer will spawn in the following order: blue, yellow, orange, red, purple. The artifact will get stronger. What an interesting method. Most glow orange, and Noah glows red, which is to be expected. In Jurta, all the colors merge. How strong he is. Now it's her turn. Suddenly, her pendant with the same stone began to be pulled back to the sandy times, and the layer in her hands cracked. A magical seal appeared above her. The family was sitting at the dinner table. "Sister, maybe I should not eat at night. Just dare, and I will throw you in the soup." The woman congratulated her daughter on the introduction. "Exactly. Today I entered the university. Happy birthday, daughter." "Sister, why are you crying?" The girl replied that she is just very happy. "Now hospital bed, drip tears of my sister and mother." The woman with red hair said that she had to break the shackles of sleep. "Where am I?" Rosiana asked herself, holding her head aching badly. A minute ago she was at the auction, but the layer suddenly broke, and a magical funnel appeared, after which she had a strange dream. What is this? There were white unknown portals everywhere if she got here through one of these doors. Suddenly, she saw a young boy lying on the floor. Rosiana approached him and asked if he was okay. He started talking nonsense. Mana is gradually leaving his body. What to do? Probably it is necessary to find out everything here first. She met another woman who also spoke nonsense. It is quite dangerous to stay. It is full of doors from which there is no way out. What did Jurta do? Exactly. The ring he gave her. It can only be summoned once, somewhat similar to the magic of teleportation, if it is true. Summoning the Supreme Lord. What? Why didn't it work? We need to find a solution to the problem. If he cannot come to her, then she will come to him. Theoretically, this is possible, but there are fears that only parts of the body will be transferred. She has no right to make a mistake. Now it's ready. She checked everything several times. Teleportation to Jurta. She shouted firmly. It worked. But there is one nuance. It is a small one lying on a black spot. He was tied up. A gray slime appeared that chewed through these threads. Did you really want to help? How to be? Will he be able to free the boy? The slug began to speak. Danger, a black shadow, a nightmare. But he will wake up if he achieves his goal. The girl asked if there was a way to help him. It would be nice to get into his dream. You need to get rid of his shadow. The slug sent her there. Rosiana got to the bedroom. There was a lump of blanket on the bed. He is afraid it is so dark. Enough. I can't hear it anymore. I don't want to see. It's scary when you fight and yell at each other. Who is this? She definitely felt Jirta's energy. The girl moved to the corridor, went further to the mirror, through which she saw him. Another boy came to him, who introduced himself as Yvonne, his older brother. Let their meeting be a secret. All the people he met had black and vile manes. Therefore, he thought that all people were like that, but Yvonne's energy shone in his dark world like a star. He was happy with him. Jirta also wanted to be useful to him. Even asked his brother not to tell anyone that he had magic. You can't let your father find out about it. Let him pretend he can't do it. Unfortunately, the boy did not comply with his brother's request that day. Everything fell apart. Father shouted that how dare he hide the fact that Jirta is a wizard. Answer: Avon. Even without knowing the basics, he is so strong. Finally, his plan can be accomplished. That night, his brother injured his eye. Then the father took them to a secret room, where Yvonne died. The father said that the elder had caused trouble. This is what happens to those who harm his material. Finally, he managed to summon the spirit. All obstacles are behind screams, emanating from the mana that he had heard all his life, all for the sake of the ritual. The summoning required dead and living flesh, with strong energy. The father said that he could not find the last product, but thanks to him, he found it. His brother was a fool. If he had continued to hide his abilities, the other would be in his place now. For some unknown reason, the spirit assumed Dad's flesh in his place and grew stronger in him. Goethe's memories. The slug objected. It was a nightmare that kept him from waking up. It would have been better if he too had left this world that day. He should close his eyes. All this happens again and again. If he hadn't used magic that day, nothing would have happened. The slug said that his nightmares are because of him, because it is a remnant of Yvonne's mana. At the moment when the spirit took up residence in Jirta, he left with him. The spirit wants to possess him, but Jirta is strong and fights him off. The fact that the spirit has his image says that his existence is a problem for the boy. He has to stop it. A ghost can consume it or destroy it. If he completely gets rid of the spirit, then there is a possibility that Jirta will forget him. It is probably for the best to live without regrets. Probably the nightmare is directly related to him. Is this the only way out? The girl asked. Jirta is definitely suffering from a nightmare. However, the memories of his brother are very precious to him. Is it really worth erasing the memory of yourself? Rosianna said that he is a remnant of Avon. Is she really hiding a grudge? Of course not. He just wants Jirta to be happy. Rosianna said that he should tell him about it himself, what happened that day, and what I felt all the time. In this place, the power of spirits becomes stronger. Without a body he could inhabit, it will disappear the moment he enters Jirta's dream. What if there is a body? For example, some strong wizard, the girl assumed, and about herself. The slug moved into the girl and told her brother, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. You were in a lot of pain. I had no intention of hurting you. I should have told you about it. Jirta, I do not hold a grudge against you. Rosianna sat over little Goethe and said that he had woken up. He was crying. What are you thinking about? The boy asked. She asked how his conversation with his brother went. Jirta replied that thanks to her, it is good he still feels Yvonne's mana in her. Really? Rosianna asked. So a fraction of it has not yet disappeared. The girl asked him how to get out of here. The little one replied that it was necessary to destroy the magic. Of course they won't get away with it, just like that, because the tower can collapse. Not for nothing, said the girl firmly. Jirta replied that then they had no choice but to find the master of this spell, lord of this building. Do you think the teleport will work? The girl asked. They even changed into the clothes they were wearing at the ball. You have to check it. They were too close to each other. You have to hurry and find the lord. He felt the energy at the top of the tower. Is he talking about the same room that Asil warned about? He said that under no circumstances should you enter there. Suddenly they saw how the dark-haired lord was holding the lord in the air. Lord, but a master, Duke Raphael stood before them. However, the unexpected appearances do not end there.